Good. No Cowboys. Thank you.
I figured you'd lead into it if you wanted to talk about it. I had it in there and then I deleted it. I was like, and the Cowboys not so much.
Fucking pieces of shit.
Show Instagram page creation. So, dude, I can't read.
Can't beat fucking Denver, who has a terrible offense. But now we've got Atlanta, who has a great offense. Have fun with that.
The struggle. All right. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to do this?
Good evening. Highlights of the news. Traffic accident. Run. Beaver County man being held for murder. It's more later.
What's going on, y'all? You're tuning in to the highest rated, most listened to podcast to ever grace the airwaves, and you're a better person for listening to us. All right, maybe not, but you're really going to enjoy it anyways. This is Made to Motivate Podcast, and we'll be talking social media hot topics, pop culture news, the greatest in movies and music, and all things sports. Make sure you're following us on social media at Made to Motivate Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can watch the show on our YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and with that being said, let's get this show started.
I feel like just once I would like to see, like, on the video version of this episode, when that's playing, that's that walkthrough, we should just be like fighting each other, beating the shit out of each other while that peaceful thing is going on.
That would be fantastic. My goal for the longest time, well, I guess my goal for the longest time was to make that a video montage to play.
Oh yeah,
during that part, but then that would take away from you chugging your beer. So I don't want to take that from you.
I don't finish when it's Dortmunder, man. It's too much.
Yeah. Anyhow, 7. I think we're 7. What's going on, guys? Made to Motivate Podcast, episode 5, season 5, episode 7. This is your host, Ryan Weiss. I am joined, as always, by Christopher, the Film Freak Kessinger.
And nice to meet you, sir.
How's it going, bud?
Very good.
I like your shirt.
This fucking awesome jersey right here.
It's badass. Who's number 24?
Griffey, of course.
Ah,
that's why all my customized jerseys are always 24.
I like it. I like it.
Yep.
We got Daniel, the shoe guy, Sandmann, back. Wow.
Hey, 2 in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
Sandy.
Because I don't have a job. I'm trying to fill time.
Wow. He's not being paid either.
He was actually here before we got here. He slept on that couch.
Yeah. Thanks.
He's living in my basement now.
Appreciate the support.
That's what we're here for at Made to Motivate. We got to take care of our peeps and our listeners and whatnot. Yeah, we're back 2 in a row. We're back in a routine now. We've had a little bit of a wild couple months on and off, but we are in good fashion going forward. I think at this point, no vacations or anything coming up, so we should be here week to week. Hopefully, Jesse will be joining us soon. He is on his final week of paternal leave, correct? Paternal, is that right?
Yeah.
Paternal. He's not coming back.
Because Ma is mom.
Episode. Oh, and Chris is catching him on the episode.
One behind.
If he comes back next week, they'll be tied, right?
No, he would still be one.
He'll be one ahead of you.
Now, if he doesn't come back next week, we're tied.
He's done.
Okay, Jesse, so you got to come back next week.
He's got a kid now.
He does got a kid.
Thank you.
Hey, look, I get it, but you still need time away, especially now that you got a kid. So he can give us a 1 day a week. We'll see. Anyhow, Christoph, new, exciting.
Chrissy Topher.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's like a porn star name.
Yeah. That's what this hot chick in 8th grade used to call me.
Chrissy Topher?
Mm-hmm.
She's sexy?
She's pretty hot.
She a stripper now? Going by Chrissy Topher?
Well, I don't know.
Better look her up.
She looked like Gwen Stefani, though, in 8th grade.
She's got an OnlyFans.
Probably.
What's new and exciting since our last show?
Man, getting the winter warfare going. You know, we're 3 weeks away from tomorrow. And yeah, we're almost got all the schedules complete. As usual, there's a few holdovers that are a pain in the ass.
You can out them.
Yeah, Mr. Tom Ruckman. You know, he's no stranger to this show, for one. But
Bader?
No, Bader got me his today. Bader and Brad got me theirs today.
Okay.
So we're good on that. But yeah, it's just we got to figure out the last few quirks of that and get that done. Besides that, though, man, been crazy busy with movies. 6 straight nights. This is the first night since Wednesday. So 1 week.
Wow.
That I have not had a review tonight.
Nice.
So yeah, it's nice to have that peaceful time. And that's kind of why I was saying, like, yesterday, I'm like, man, I kind of hope we do the show today because, man, I don't want to do another review. And then I had Clifford on the end of it. So it's like, Ugh.
Uh,
But I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah. No, you don't. You gotta go
I
see
mean,
it.
I know enough about it that I'm good.
It's got Rosie Perez, Ryan's favorite actress.
Fucking hate her.
You lost all our fucking money, Billy?
Her and Fences. Her and Fences. It's a real close toss up.
If you had to watch either 3 Rosie Perez movies or Fences, what would you choose?
3 Rosie Perez movies.
Really?
Sadly.
you wouldn't kill yourself?
Sadly. I might, but I might kill myself if I ever have to watch Fences again too. So I mean, it's a toss up.
You might get White Men Can't Jump.
I'd be all about it. That's one I'll suffer through, but any scene she's in bothers the hell out of me.
Birds of Prey.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But that's it really.
Warfare.
It's just been movies, Winter Warfare, and I put in for my next vacation at work, which unfortunately isn't until February. But
Anywhere you're going?
no, I'm just staycation.
Just to take the next time off.
It's gonna be after Super Bowl week, so I'm gonna get really fucking drunk Super Bowl Sunday.
There you go.
And
It's a good time.
Yep.
So when you're watching the Steelers play in the Super Bowl,
Oh,
you get wasted.
I mean, the way the AFC looks right now, I wouldn't doubt it. Anybody could do it.
It's anybody's game.
Yeah.
Daniel,
Hello.
how's unemployment treating you?
It's good, man. It's so relaxed, not having to rush out to do stuff to get like. And what I realized is these days when you're working, they go by fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As of late,
Yeah.
it's been amazing. Just coasting through the days.
Mhm.
I know why there's a shit ton of people that aren't working right now because this feels amazing.
Yeah. Like
But,
I've said, people lost their jobs or were unemployed and no one wants to go back now because they realize how much happy they are.
Oh,
Daniel is a prime example.
yeah, way happier.
When you're off work and you see like big traffic cords, do you ever think like, wow, this feels like a million people are in on a secret that I was just not privy to until this week?
Right.
Yeah. I not a whole lot going on. Just getting some stuff done around the house. I hung a TV on the wall today in the garage and some
nice.
speakers. So
Did you mount it?
mounted it.
The only thing he mounted.
Mounted.
Oh yeah.
Cleaned it out, trying to get the cars in the garage. So other than that,
Goodness, Paige Van Zandt.
just
And I've seen you. Jesus, you're a pageaholic on those pictures. I'm like Ryan Rock ever,
Bro.
Ryan Rock.
I love me some Paige Van Zandt.
She looks
She's
good
hot.
in AEW.
Man cave, is that what the garage has turned into? Man cave, you're gonna finish
not so
it?
much. It's
organizing
just
it?
more. Yeah, I was trying to get rid of some speakers through a yard sale. Nobody bought them, so I'm just gonna repurpose them and use them.
If I
So
had room for him, I would.
Yeah.
they're just bookshelf speakers, nothing major. And took the receiver out of the bedroom that I wasn't using
Mm-hmm.
and threw it down there in the garage. And now I can listen to some music or watch TV, put the game on.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
What a game it was Monday night. Maybe we'll talk about it.
It was a game for sure.
Ryan, what about you?
I'm always awful at this because I don't really
Do
know
shit.
what I've done since last week.
You
I
probably
do a lot of stuff and I just can never remember what the fuck I actually did.
You
So
went for a walk
I did-
without your dog.
I know Grayson hates me right
You
now.
moused.
Did a little mousing.
Mouse.
Did a little mousing. God, I feel like I've done really not that much. Just hanging around the house. I've been doing some drawings and I've had some commission artwork I've been working on. Going to Philly this weekend. Chris's and Jesse's favorite city.
Mm.
Can
Can I freeze frame for a second before you go any further?
Freeze it.
That Uncle Eddie one you did is one of my favorite ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I like the Sherwin-Williams design too, but that Uncle Eddie's badass.
Thank you. I am a big fan of
Christmas Vacation.
yeah, it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
I think my next one, spoiler, no one, if anybody listens, we'll see. Is going to be I'm going to do one of the Island Boys.
Oh
I
shit.
have to.
Oh,
This song's so
God.
fucking stupid. Have you
God.
heard the song, the stupid song going around? I'm an island boy. I'm an island boy. Everyone's posting it.
That's
online.
what you were talking about.
Island boy.
Yeah.
But I heard it was addictive and I don't want to hear it.
It's super addictive, bro. So just for fun, I'm just gonna draw one of them as that character because I think it'll be funny to do it.
You'd
so,
have to do,
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one.
yeah.
you can't do, because Andy, there's really nothing special about it, but you'd have to do the guy with the glasses, not Yorma, but I can't remember who the third one is.
From what?
From The Lonely Island.
Oh no, this is not from Lonely Island.
Oh.
It's
These are just
it's
TikTokers.
It's these two TikTokers from Jamaica or Cuba, I think.
Okay.
And they went viral just because of this song that they posted. I'm an island boy. I'm an island boy, and they've got like grills and they got this goofy hair, and they're just weird, and it just blew up. People making fun of them, and it's just gone.
I think they're like
crazy.
second generation Islanders.
Yeah, they were born in Florida. Yeah, they were born in Florida, but they claim their heritage from wherever they are. You have to just watch the video.
So do they just look weird then? That's why it's so
Bro,
easy of a topic.
I just gotta pull it up.
Okay.
Man,
They got like fingers coming out of their hair, like
it's
and then
wild.
tattoos, and then they put grills in.
Oh, good luck with that detail.
Yeah, it'll be fun though. I feel like just for the sake of doing it. This is them.
They got a filter now, I think.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's somebody else doing it. But yeah, that was them at the very beginning.
I liked your making of video too, man. I can't even.
They freestyle.
Is that real? That hair?
That's their real hair. It's like dreads.
It looks like a filter, like Dan was talking about.
That's the song.
You got to do that, kid, man.
I'm gonna do this one on this side.
Yeah.
It's
All their tattoos and stuff. It's gonna be rough, but it'll be fun.
They're trying. It's
Yeah.
terrible, but they're trying.
Hey, it's
It's
whatever.
awful.
Here at the
Probably made
end
$1
of the,
billion too.
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, they are making money simply
That's
off people
right.
hating on them. So whatever.
Yeah. A lot of artists made a career out of that.
Yep. But yeah,
you know
that's
who
really
I'm
it.
really jealous of?
Hmm.
Not really, but it's such a simple thing. But the dude that goes around asking people that drive
What they
really
do for
nice
a
cars.
job?
Yeah.
Wait,
Like-
what?
This guy goes around and asks people that are driving nice cars what they do. That's it. Nice car, man. What do you do?
So how do you monetize that?
He just has a lot of followers. People just watch it just to
Tons.
see what these people do for a living. It's literally just a video of him, like point of view, like this. He just walks up to people, he's filming their car and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living to drive this car?" They tell him, and then
none
he
of your
clips.
fucking business.
Yeah, and then he clips to another one, and he asks them the same thing.
It's insane. It's something so
He's
simple.
got a huge following, man.
Welcome to that Facebook breach. Anyway.
Oh
Right.
my god.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it. Just been doing the huge.
See, I'm
Nothing
gonna be
too
singing
exciting.
all freaking show.
It gets in your head, man.
I don't want to hear it.
An island boy.
So look.
Trying to make
So what I've been doing
it.
now.
Island boy.
Ashley yells at me because I'll be in my office and I'll be singing to Grayson, "You're the Grayson boy, you're the Grayson," but in that fucking tune of that song, and she gets so pissed. I want to do a remix of me and him singing it to that tune. I gotta rewrite the lyrics. I'm a Grayson boy. Anyhow, that's all really for weekly recap, weekly rewind, which we never use that soundbite. What are we starting with? Who's kicking
I'm
it
gonna
off?
be the jerk and
You're starting it off for
Yes.
us? All right, we're going to kick it off with Christopher.
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down! Two, Steve!
It is time for the Hollywood Report.
So we've talked on this show a few times about who some of our favorite contemporary actors are going. And one man who always makes the list is Leonardo DiCaprio. And I read some news today that I thought was very interesting as far as some of his future casting coming up. He's got a big Netflix movie coming out next month with a huge lineup of people. It's another Adam McKay film, same guy who did The Big Short, Vice, all that. So that I'm looking forward to, but this I'm looking forward to so much more. Fall of 2022, Leonardo DiCaprio has been cast as Jim Jones, the Johannesburg cult leader who was responsible for I guess you could say he murdered 90 people, but
Yeah.
it was the same people that drank the Kool-Aid, the killer Kool-Aid, and they died. He's been cast in that role for MGM.
Wow.
This is
Bro.
going to be fucking awesome.
That's a unique role for him.
Yes.
I mean, he does that. He'll take any role, but
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting portrayal for him.
And unlike, so like you look at a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, and Jordan Belfort did a lot of terrible things, but I feel like that movie almost, the one fault I would say about it is it glamorizes what he did. That's probably the only critique I would have for it. How do you glamorize Jim Jones? What about this goes, man, that guy's awesome. That guy's cool.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. I get that.
Makes good Kool-Aid.
Man, this Kool-Aid kills, man.
Wow.
but
You are both cut off.
Ouch.
but they haven't attached a director yet. But he is, in addition to starring, he's also producing. So he's fronting a lot of the cash that goes into its development,
Okay.
which means he's going to pull back a big payday when it
Yeah.
kills the market like it's going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just thought it was cool because Jim Jones, DiCaprio would not be on my short list as far as who I would cast, but goddamn, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think it's going to add a different dimension to him because, we saw him in Django Unchained. He was the Calvin, I think was his name, Calvin Coxley or whatever the hell. And he was demented in that, but I feel like Jim Jones is almost a meticulous madness, not to where he's yelling, but more so where his words seduce the audience, and I think that's going to be a very alluring role for him.
Yeah, especially when you're portraying somebody else like a real life person, whereas Django was not. So I like it.
He's gonna study the shit out of his.
Yes, he will.
Oh, that's what I love about him is he takes these roles and he's probably the most serious
method actor. Yeah, he's definitely. I would say the short list would probably be him, Christian Bale, Tom Hardy is another big method actor because he transforms.
Leto, I think too.
Leto is a huge one. House of Gucci. It doesn't even look like him.
Yeah, he takes on a lot.
Yeah.
To Dan's point, I saw an interview with the real Jordan Belfort, and he talked about how Leo spent like a year with him and just learned his mannerisms and how he talks and like learned everything about him as an individual.
Yeah.
To portray that character the best likeness that he could. He was very involved with it, so that's pretty cool.
The accent's perfect because like Belfort's from New York, but like if you overdo it, if you do too many of these, it becomes an impression after a while. It doesn't feel like you're becoming the character.
Yeah.
So I feel like he towed the line perfectly there. You hear that Brooklyn accent every now and then come out in certain words and euphemisms and all that, but he doesn't overdo it, which I think is why he's perfect for this role. Jim Jones is from the South, so he also has that same accent that Leo had in Django Unchained. So again, we're going to get some more of that. Another great actor who, a lot of actors, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, is Will Smith.
Ooh.
Will Smith walked the walk this week. Upcoming film coming out from him on Thanksgiving week is called King Richard. It details the Serena and Venus Williams, the tennis phenoms, their upbringing and their rise to stardom, which was all at the hands of their father, Richard. So a little backstory on this production. It was supposed to hit theaters Thanksgiving weekend. And then I believe it's Sony who they're through. They made a deal with HBO. So now they're going to coincide a release with it. The same day it comes out in theaters, it is also going to hit HBO, which obviously, as we've talked about endlessly, is going to cut into their profits. So Will Smith instead stepped up and said, I'm going to take my $40 million payday that he got for this role. And he said he's going to divide it amongst his cast and crew. So this includes the two little girls who play Venus and Serena, his daughters on screen. This includes, various cameramen, production techs, all that. The $40 million, even though it's a lot of crew, it's getting divided that many ways.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal. This is not
huge.
something he has to do, but he feels like they kind of got the short end of the stick as far as, making profits go. And for two little girls who it's their first movie, it kind of hinders the experience.
My question is, are we running into another situation like Disney with ScarJo, where was it not disclosed that it was going to be going to streaming and they can fight that?
That raises a good question. I think because it was not premeditated, but before it was ever established this way, like that wasn't the intention. So I think there's nothing Will and them can do about it.
Wow.
I just think it's one of those where for future reference, you better cover all your T's and Q's and figure it out. But
at this point, it's almost like you have to ask your agent or someone needs to ask before you take the role, like, what's the setup for this as far as release? Is it going to be dual or is it going to be streaming only?
Yeah.
Because it's great he's doing that, but he shouldn't be responsible. The production company should be fronting the funds.
And I agree. And it's just kind of funny because last week on the last episode, we talked about, how people look at rich people and they go, well, it's kind of your responsibility to step up and help the community. Hey, LeBron, Rolling Acres Mall is dying. Why don't you buy it and all this?
Yeah.
Here's a guy who doesn't even need to be told that. He's going to go ahead and do it because he knows in his heart that this crew got wronged.
That's fantastic.
So I think it's cool. I'm not going to use it as an excuse that, well, he's rich. He can afford something like this. But to me, I just think it goes a long way in walking the walk with these actions and saying like, anybody can say, hey, be there and front money. Here's a man that actually did it. And I already respect Will Smith I twice as much respect him now.
Very cool.
So, but check out King Richard's coming out November 24th. I got a screener for it. I got to watch it sometime next week.
Heck yeah.
So in addition to that, sticking with movie news here real quick, The Eternals dropped this week. I think I'm the only one that got to see it, correct?
I haven't seen it yet.
Not seen it.
Okay, so I'm going to run down my opinions of this movie just real quick. It's getting a negative critique amongst critics and fans alike. It seems like this is one of those rare movies where both sides are on the same side for once. So going into this film, like while I watched the trailers and I saw them and the trailers intrigued me enough, I wouldn't say that I was alluring to see it like I was Spider-Man. You know, certainly I'm dying to see that movie in December, but I was still hooked. I was like, I want to see what this is all about. I don't know anything about the Eternals going in, so maybe that'll offer me a unique point of view. So I saw the movie, and you know, after reading all those reviews going into it, I was expecting the worst. I really didn't feel it. I didn't feel like the worst was there. So as far as Marvel goes, some of my least favorite movies are like Thor 2, The Dark World. You know, the Iron Man sequels I always felt have been very inferior. I've not been a fan of Captain Marvel. So I feel like those are the worst of the worst when it comes to the MCU. And I feel like this movie was leaps and bounds better than all four of those titles. Just on the scope, the spectrum alone, best director winner Chloe Zhao for Nomadland last year. She was attached to direct this film, and she adds so much stakes and scope to this cinematic universe that has never been seen in even like a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is about several thousand galaxies, you know, beyond our own Earth. So I thought it was cool. Everything shot in IMAX cameras, which makes everything feel bigger and more immense and epic. Reminded me a lot of the Dune aesthetics in that perspective. Killer cast. You've got Salma Hayek. I'm drawing a blank here.
It's not hard to do after Salma Hayek.
Yeah, but it's an ensemble piece. Gemma Chan is in it. Richard Madden. So basically nobody's taking the lead like a Captain America movie. This is very much an ensemble piece, and that's what I kind of liked about it. It grew this team together. They all have great chemistry with each other. I felt the best moments of the film were the down moments, like when they were being a family. You know, they're at a breakfast table talking about the Avengers in one scene. And I feel like that nuance that goes into those conversations was the best parts of the movie for me.
Very cool.
The action shot decent enough. Where I think the problems are with the film, and one that's alienating everybody in their perspective, is the storytelling structure is very nonlinear. So there's two different timelines going on at once in this film. There's one that's taking place in the past, which is 7,000 years ago. And then there's one in the current day narrative. And whenever this movie feels like it, like spontaneously at the drop of a hat, they go back to it. And sometimes that can be abrupt and you need a couple of seconds to catch your bearings on where we're at in the particular storyline. So for me, considering it's a 2.5-hour movie and considering we have so much exposition to unload, this film would have been better suited as two different films, respectively, in my opinion. I feel like there's definitely a script there for the first film, and there's easily one that you could make as the second film, just based on the antagonist alone. So I wish they would have went that route with it. A couple of people I've talked to, they agree that would have smoothed things out a little easier, and you would have been able to grow with these characters. From the start of this movie, it's almost like you're asked to be awestruck by their actions and their powers and all that, when you really haven't known these characters for more than a minute. So like right out of the bat, you're thrust into an action sequence, you know, showing what they can do. I don't know anybody about these.
I know. I don't know anything about the Eternal story. So like it didn't really catch my like interest to go see it quite yet. Where does it, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but where does it fall in the timeline? Like I kind of got a little bit of it from the trailers and everything, but I don't know exactly where it falls in the current MCU.
So the only thing I can say is it's definitely after Avengers Endgame, because they talk about the Infinity War, they talk about Endgame and all that. They talk about Thanos falling. So it's somewhere obviously in phase 4 where we're at with like Shang-Chi, Black Widow. Oh, well, Black Widow took place before.
About Far From Home. Like, is it before that or around the same time?
That I don't know. It's somewhere in that phase 4 though. It's basically current day where we're at right now. So, you know, obviously, as I said, it goes back 7,000 years. So they're going to incorporate scenes over time on different planets and pull from it and, you know, incorporate it into a certain theme that's corresponding in current day. You know, like say they're talking about dogs in current day, they're going to go back to the past 7,000 years and show a scene where they interacted with a dog or something like that. It's just an example.
But are they based on Earth?
Like no. No, they're
That's the other thing I don't.
they're kind of roamers in that
Okay.
aspect. They do have a founding planet. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they were created by a higher power, not God, but like a machine that created all of them. They were basically known as his children. And he's basically the essential antagonist for the film, although there's several smaller antagonists too.
Okay.
I think it's solid enough to recommend it. It's strange because, so I gave the movie a 6 out of 10. I liked it just enough. Usually when I'd have a 6 out of 10 movie, I would say don't go see it in theaters. Don't pay the prices to see it. But this is a scope that's so big and immense that it almost doesn't do it justice on a screen like, a TV or anything like that. So you almost have to see it in theaters if you're going to watch it. It is 2.5 hours long, so it is a big investment. And for characters you don't know and you have very little time to grow with, that can be a big step, a big jump. So I would say proceed with caution, but I would say check it out. To me, it's not the worst MCU film, and I think anybody who tells you otherwise is just lying to themselves.
Okay.
I might check it out this week. I got nothing to do.
Movie time.
This would be a great week for you.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the story, and that's my hardest thing with anything. These Marvel or like superhero movies is like I'm drawn to the stories that I know. So
Right.
I haven't seen the Shang-Chi one yet because I don't know anything about it. Even though I heard it was fantastic,
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it yet. But I do. I'd like to make time for this and that
That's
one.
coming out
See.
on
It
Disney
should be on
Plus
streaming soon.
the 12th. They
Yeah.
got Disney Plus Day.
Yeah.
They're dropping a lot of, I think that Jeff Goldblum
Okay.
Oh,
The
yeah,
new
Jeff-
second series.
What's the name of that show?
second season of it.
That was a good show. I like that.
The World According to Jeff.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple other releases, and I know the 10 Ring. Is it 10 Rings?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
10
Yeah.
Rings. Yeah. That one, that's
Nice.
dropping.
Yeah, it's strange because like the Phase 4 films so far have been passing for me. All of them have received passing grades, but nothing that's like that 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10, dare I say, that
Yeah.
I've given to Marvel movies for the consistency.
What did you give Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi, I gave a 7 out of 10.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Didn't Jesse say it was his favorite Marvel movie ever? Wow.
Well, he said it was one of,
I
yeah,
think he said it was his favorite. I think he said it surpassed Infinity War.
which is remarkable. I mean, when you consider
huge.
the depths that cinematic universe has traveled,
Yeah,
I definitely wouldn't say it's anywhere near my favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
wild. Cool.
So yeah, just
Worth checking out though.
check it out. Wanted to talk about the weekend box office top 5. We started this segment last week, looking at interesting trends and the ups and downs of Hollywood. So we've got a fresh new top 5 this week. Only 2 of these films were even in the top 5 last week.
Okay.
So it's interesting enough. There was a lot of change. And we kind of predicted it with one of these films. We'll get to it in a second. But kicking us off at number 5 is the animated film that I thought is one of the best kept secrets in Hollywood this year. Ron's Gone Wrong was number 5 this week.
With the little robot.
Yep.
Oh.
This is its 5th week, and it is still in the top 5. 3,500,000. It made in just over 2,600 theaters, so it's still going pretty strong even after 5 weeks. I feel like this film's going to catch heat on video or on streaming. I feel like a lot of people don't even know it exists now that it's out in theaters. The marketing for it was very terrible, very much a hushed secret, if you will. When it came out, I wasn't even looking forward to it. I caught one quick trailer. I didn't think it looked that great, and it was very endearing. I found it one of the best animated films of the year, right up there with The Mitchells versus the Machines, which you can see on Netflix. That is definitely the best film of the year as far as animation goes. Number 4, Venom: Let There Be Carnage is still riding it out. Yep.
Goodness.
Another $4 million, almost $4.5 million in 2,500 theaters. So it's still going strong. This is week 4 for Venom. Clearly Sony has caught fire with this property. It's strange because, we talk about Sony with such almost a negative remark toward their enveloping of Marvel properties.
Yeah.
Certainly there's the Spider-Man films, but those are very hit or miss to certain people. Venom is mostly with negative connotation, and yet, this movie is still catching fire. $4.5 million in a pandemic universe.
It's wild.
It's crazy after 4 weeks. So I mean, it brings its total to 197 million domestically now. So we're gonna get more of these movies, guys.
Wow.
And did anybody see Venom, or was it just me?
I haven't seen it yet.
Just the first one. I saw the
I
first
watched the
one and
first one.
enjoyed it. That was it.
I'll tread carefully here then. The post-credit sequence tends to allude that there's going to be another movie. And the direction it's heading really raises some questions. As far as tonal, where this film is compared to other Marvel properties, doesn't feel like it would mix well, but we'll see what happens. Another returning this week is James Bond, No Time to Die, raking in another $6 million with 3,000 theaters, brings its grand total to 143 million now domestically and 290 million worldwide.
Big European.
Yeah, big European market. We talked about it last week. This is now the second biggest film released in European history. So,
Wild.
to smash Marvel records and Marvel, they do well enough over there. This is remarkable.
Yeah.
So, the last goodbye from Daniel Craig couldn't have happened at a better time, and it seems to be marking out big for MGM.
Who would you put for the next Bond?
We've talked about that before, and I really like the Idris Elba choice. That's always kind of been my thing. I feel like if they're going to go in a different direction, like as far as diversity goes with the character, if that's your sole intent, I feel like there's nobody better than Idris Elba, in my opinion. I also wouldn't mind seeing like Lakeith Stanfield. I feel like he's very underrated as an actor, especially a black actor.
I don't know what's he from.
So he's been in. There's a new movie on Netflix he's been in called The Harder They Fall. He's also been in a couple of big movies. Thank You for Coming was a big one that kind of got swept under the rug. Unfortunately, I felt like it was one of the best films of the year for that year. Short Term 12, another independent film. That's kind of what he does. So, it's his thing to do those independent films, but he's very much one of the best charismatic actors going today. Judas and the Black Messiah too. Yeah. He was the Black Messiah. He was the guy that turned on Fred Hampton.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
Two suggestions. What about Glover? I really like Glover.
Donald. Oh yeah.
And Chris Pratt.
The first one was a great choice.
I really like Donald Glover.
Yeah, me too.
I think Idris probably fits that role better. But if they're going that, just like you said, a diverse route, I like Chris Pratt. He's not in that many movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could pull off that British accent really, really perfectly for that role.
I fucking hate my life. No, Donald Glover would be interesting because you don't really see him. He's been in action movies. Huh?
He doesn't have that big of a catalog,
no.
I feel like, and he's really good.
And he's usually in these like psychological films, more or less, nothing that has to do with action or brawn, Right. So I feel like that would shed layers to give him a new side of what he can bring to the table. Yeah, that's not a bad one. Chris Pratt, get that shit out of here.
He's great, man.
Number 2 this week. So we talked about last week that this film was going to be surpassed by a new release film coming out. And after 3 weeks at number 1, Dune has finally fallen to number 2, but still making nearly $8 million in 3,500 theaters.
I'm really surprised by how well that is done.
I am too, because for one, Dune by itself is not a very it doesn't attract a mainstream audience. Its story is very nuanced and very secluded. If you're not in on the universe, you're pretty much out. There is no expanding for you. So there's that, and then there's Denis Villeneuve, who produces these great films we've talked about, like Arrival and Prisoners, but they're not money-making films. They're not films that are going to sweep the box office for week after week.
Right.
Dune seems to be that first one for him that has that promiscuity to steal the board.
And even with the direct to HBO release, which is mind-blowing to me that it's still doing that well. It seems like one of those properties that's not that well known. So I guess I didn't think that many people knew about it to have that big of a box office hit. I mean, that's great. It's wild, even this many weeks later.
And dare I say, my theory on what you just said about the HBO release is that maybe people are watching it on HBO and then they realize, like, look, the home world isn't doing it justice here. Like, I need to see this on a big screen, the biggest screen possible with the best sound. And I feel like it would be so much better.
Yeah.
Spoiler, it is. I've watched it both at home and in the theater. This is a movie that begs to be seen on the big screen.
That might be my first movie choice to go see.
Yeah. I still on my list to see. And that is some of these movies, just the world that they're built in. You have to have that big screen. You're in that dark room and you're encompassed by the film itself.
Yeah.
Where you just can't watch it at home and still get that same feeling from it. So
Thursday matinee.
Dan's gonna be getting breakfast and coffee in the morning, and then heading up the movies. You can go read a book at the bookstore.
And I'm curious to know.
No, I got to turn in my book back in to my old boss.
Ooh.
I was supposed to read a book. I didn't.
Whoops.
I got to turn that back in.
Dan, these pages don't even look like they've been open. Yep, you're right.
Theft, brother.
No, I just haven't. It was in my other car.
I'm curious to know how you take this movie, considering like You have no experience with the past film, the David Lynch movie.
Right,
You have no
right.
experience with the novels. So I'm curious to know where this lands with you as far as, grade wise, how you felt about it overall. You'll have to let us know.
I will let you know.
Okay.
I'll probably go tomorrow to see it.
Okay. But that's at 84 million now domestically. It's solid for Dune.
It's
man.
really good
For a
man.
Villeneuve film. That's outstanding. I think it's his highest grossing film to date.
More than Arrival.
Yeah, because Arrival didn't do so great film. My favorite movie of the year.
Bro.
Not a money box office hit though.
I saw it in theater twice.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it today
Mm-hmm.
for like the 18th millionth time.
Yeah.
I think it's a fucking fantastic movie.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I always feel like his films don't translate well to a mainstream audience. This sounds bad. They're almost too smart for a mainstream audience. Watch Arrival,
I could
and
see
so much goes
that.
over your head the first time
Yeah,
you watch
I
it.
could see that. Just even the message in that movie, like so many people are like, whatever, fucking,
Even something like Prisoners, which is about child kidnapping, like on the surface level, that seems so easily accessible for a mainstream audience. We'd all kill anybody who touched our kids, but there's so many corresponding themes to go with it, underlining that, like what is justice? Is it okay for people to take justice in their own hands? That's what I always love about his films. He always offers some kind of stark psychological commentary.
Yeah.
So the film that upset Dune is obviously Eternals. We just talked about it at $71 million this week. Now, obviously, we said it is a Marvel Cinematic property, but $71 million
Marvel.
in a pandemic, it's not.
Yeah.
But considering like the times we're in, $71 million, people are still going to see these movies.
Yeah.
And it just proves that these studios need to stop holding back these films and just release them. If they're good, people are going to go watch them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want Top Gun.
Yes.
Oh, give me Top Gun.
Supposed to be next month, but now we have to wait till May. So
such bullshit.
Yeah.
Man.
Just release the shit. If people want to see it, they're going to go see it.
Right.
If you have to take a loss, take a loss, whatever.
Yeah. I haven't gone to the movies I don't remember the last movie I saw in the theater, but I will be at the theater for Top Gun if they release that like anytime in the freaking near future.
It better not be
Fast
Judas.
10.
Judas, the last movie I saw, it might be.
No way.
How long ago was that we saw that?
That was February?
I think that's the last time I went.
No fucking way.
I'm trying to think what's released that I've gone to the movies, like I haven't really been to the theater that much. I've watched some stuff on like direct to, streaming, but I don't remember the last movie ticket I bought. I'm curious now. I gotta look.
Was Wonder Woman after that?
I gotta look at my phone.
No, it was before.
84 was before. Yeah, that was December of last year.
Let's see.
I know I went in the theater for that.
You went Judas after that because we went and saw Judas a couple weeks after it came out, which was late January. So we went in February. That's still remarkable. Like that's like
I think
9 months.
you bought the ticket. Whatever movie I went to, Ryan. I think you bought it.
Jeez, the last ticket I bought from Fandango was Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
That was last year.
2019. Very end of 2019.
Oh yeah.
And then
Jesus.
the last one that I bought from Cinemark. Let's see.
Obviously, you went to Judas since then.
I know, but I'm just kind of curious if I've been to the movie since then.
We saw Freaky.
Ooh, when was Freaky?
Freaky was before Judas, though. It was last year. Freaky was November.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I watched-
really curious.
That's with
Vince Vaughn.
yeah, I
So
watched that
good.
on
HBO. Yeah.
the other night. I thought it was good. I mean, it was.
You better bite your tongue over there.
I think Ryan liked it even more
That
than
movie,
I did.
dude, that movie was good.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it.
I love Vince Vaughn's take on the girl.
Teenage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hilarious.
It's basically the Freaky Friday concept,
Yeah,
but in a new
with a
way.
serial killer.
Yeah, and it gets dark. Like it does.
Yeah.
There's some great creative kills in the movie, which I
Absolutely.
think adds to it as a horror film. If it was just funny, I probably wouldn't care about it as
That
much.
girl's hot too.
Oh, Catherine Newton, yeah, the Jumanji
Boy.
chick. So Eternals, getting back to it, 71.3 this week, which is solid. It did underperform because they were considering $80 million for the opening weekend. So it
Still.
underperformed a bit, but it's not too bad that you can write it off as a loss. $71 million is still, I think they said that this is the second biggest superhero release of the year behind Venom, believe it or not. Venom made more in its opening weekend. So, it's still good. It's bigger than Black Widow. It's bigger than Shang-Chi. And considering most people write it off as a failure, I'd say that's pretty damn good.
And and probably most people don't know anything about it.
No,
That's the other thing too. Like those trailers piqued an interest. It's Marvel.
Yeah.
That's what's getting people to the box office, I think, to see it.
SNL did a skit about 5 years ago that was called Marvel Can Do No Wrong. and I feel like it's coming to life more and more every year. So what it is it was basically a spoof on the Guardians of the Galaxy. When it first came out, it was real big and nobody knew anything about the characters or the story whatsoever, but it ended up being one of the greatest Marvel movies of all time. In my opinion, the number 2 greatest. But they started making fun of it by saying like, this summer, a broom, a turtle, and an office chair in Marvel's The Office Mates or something like that. And they go, Marvel can do no wrong because you'll see it anyway. But that's kind of the point. It doesn't matter. Like whatever they do, people are going to see it.
Right.
Eternals proved that. Even with the bad word of mouth, $71 million is solid.
It's wild.
So we got one more thing here on Hollywood Report, and we're going to transition over to the world of music. Our boy Dan is wearing a very appropriate shirt for what we are about to talk about. So to anybody who doesn't know, the rap star Travis Scott this week got caught in a little bit of trouble this week, guys. His concert at AstroWorld marred in controversy. 8 people dead as a result of crowd stampeding, and 14 people injured this week. So, guys, those are the brief details on it all. You guys have read this story now. You know what happened. Who's to blame for all this, in your opinion?
Multiple parties, if you ask me.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the venue was set up to house to maximum 30,000 people.
Yeah, and there was 40.
And there was 40 to 50,000. And that 30,000 is supposed to include the workers, the security, and all that stuff.
That's a good point.
They oversold this event because, I mean, it's Travis Scott. Everybody loves him. All the kids flock to see him. I mean, he brought in a ton of people on Fortnite for a virtual concert, last year or year before.
Yep.
So the hype is there for him. Was he there to put on a show? Absolutely. When people start jumping on the stage, telling him to stop, he's focused on the energy that the crowd is bringing.
I agree. It's not his job.
So yeah, I mean, he did, from what I saw, it was a TikTok video where the camera was on one of the big screens, and there was one point where he stopped the music and told them to get, I don't know if this was an earlier concert of his or what, but this is just what I saw.
Are they framing it that it was that concert?
They said they're framing that it was, this is what the media won't tell you, is he did stop. He did point out somebody that was passed out or passing out, or somebody needed help, and directed.
I mean, even though the thing is, you're there to perform. It's, as you said, you're a performer,
right?
So you don't notice what's going on in the crowd. Your mind is going 100 miles per hour.
There's 40,000+ people out there. Yeah. You can't sit there and dissect everything that's going on within that 40,000 people.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell. So you're out there, you're feeling the energy, you're performing, you're getting hyped, telling people to put their hands up. The crowd and the selflessness of some of those people, where get me to the front of the stage. I know there's 20,000 people in front of me, but I want in front of, on that, right by that stage. I need to get there. There's no room to move. And that's what's so frustrating, that to me, that those people, like those concert goers that were pushing and pushing and pushing, had no care for the person next to them.
To a stadium, as you already alluded to, that is already overbooked and overcapacitated.
And you start, the people were cheering, getting their arms up. As soon as they put their arms up, they couldn't get their arms back down. And now you're getting the compression of all them people behind you pushing up on your chest. You can't breathe. You're hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Don't oversell the event. So the event manager needs to be held accountable. You got to give it up to the paramedics and the people that were out there trying to help people, because they were trying to get to people. Because 100, 200 paramedics for 40,000 people, 50,000 people, you're not going to be able to help everybody or get to everybody. And that's unfortunately why 8 people died. And I think there are 3 that were in cardiac arrest.
Yeah. I just know 14 were injured. Yeah.
And so it could be 11 to 12 people dead,
Ryan, what do you have to add to that?
I mean, I echo a lot of what Dan said. I kind of feel like it goes multiple ways. So Do I ultimately think Travis Scott is responsible? No, not directly. But I think it's a combination of multiple parties that need to make sure that they are creating a safe environment for the fans that are coming to these shows. You know, me and you talked briefly before the show, kind of like a unwritten rule or unspoken rule, like you're there to enjoy the show and be a part of an experience with your fellow fans, and you're there, you need to be taking care of them, you know. And this got to a level where it became so selfish and so much about, I want to be that, you know, I want to be in the front of the stage, I don't care about anybody else. And that puts the fans responsible, the fans at risk. The event itself, the venue preparing itself for a capacity that large, you have to know what you're getting involved in. You need to know that you've set the parameters and the safety measures to keep those people safe as fans, but not even just them, the workers there. You got 40,000 people to however many few, you know, security staff you have, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You're putting their lives at risk of them getting, you know, I don't know, the riot starting and then them being attacked, and then they're at risk.
Because what even is that, one security guard for every 1,000 people, pretty much?
I don't even know what like the rule of thumb is, you know, but for 40,000 people, you're putting yourself, especially for that type of setting, you know, is that even 30,000, which is what the ticket amount should have been. Is it reasonable to expect that with 30,000 people in that type of an environment, that is safe?
Yeah.
This isn't a seating in a stadium where it's hard to move around. This is 30,000 people ground level who can just rampage. You know, that is putting a lot of people at risk. So I think that falls on, you know, the venue in itself. I'm sure Travis has someone involved that, you know, tour management, whether it's his manager or someone that's in charge of putting on these shows, that is responsible for calling a show if something happens, if he's ill or something like that, who dropped the ball.
Yeah.
If they notice things were starting to get out of hand, he's not going to know, like Dan said, he's not going to know to stop the show from his point of view. You know, there's 40,000 people out there. People are moshing, having a good time. You're not going to think ultimately that there's something wrong.
I think it's unfair to ask that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, he's looking back and forth. He's moving around. You don't have a clear line of sight, clear vision of what's happening. You can't put that ultimately on him, but people that are seeing it, you know, whether it be security that are going around or someone on stage with him, they wear earpieces most of the time, or is he in as simple as going on stage saying, hey, stop performing, like this is getting out of hand, we need to call the show,
where it's their job,
we need to get this under
condition.
condition.
I know there was a lot of issues with the communication, like
absolutely,
the tech issues they couldn't get,
obviously,
even with the paramedic team, like they couldn't.
I did hear that
they couldn't even radio for help, or
nobody
knew where everybody else was.
So
at.
It's the perfect storm that's happening at this time.
It just seems crazy to me that an event it's not his first one. Like this is not he does the show. It just seems crazy to me that we let something like this happen, and then this is just going to. We're going to have that domino effect like you do with anything like this. We're now, which for the good or bad, whatever it might be, it's going to change the dynamic now because of this show failing so miserably.
That's what I worry
now
about.
It's going to implement further shows like this. What do we do to make it different? You know, does it now undercut sales to keep it safe? And then less people have the opportunity to go and see the people that they want to see.
That's the other thing. We're still dealing with COVID.
Right. 40,000 people, man.
You got that many people crammed into, you're over. And that's the one thing that just, you oversold the event. You knew what the capacity was, yet you continued to sell the tickets. Now,
40,000 people.
Don't try to tell me everybody was tested.
That's a lot of people, man.
No, there were not, nobody was showing.
Yeah.
They were knocking down fences and walls to get into that show.
Yep. And not even
bypassing security just to get to the front of that stage.
Not all the venues are requiring it. It's per tour management. So it's that artist's decision on what they want to implement for their show. So I saw like 3 shows at Blossom within like a month span of time.
Yeah.
And 2 of them required vaccine or negative test check, and one had nothing at all. They didn't check anything at all. They didn't implement any sort of COVID restriction. So it's based on that artists, you know, on kind of what they want to have. So
That's where I think that management is in peril with this, you know,
Yeah.
not necessarily even the rioting of it, just the dangerousness of everything.
Yeah.
There's a much bigger issue going on here,
Yeah.
you know.
And thinking about Travis Scott, and because he's got the money, that's where they're going to go to
Of course.
to get the money.
Of course.
And people are even talking like, what's Nike going to do now? What's
right. They're going to drop him.
Yeah, you can't put this entirely
Yeah.
on Travis Scott.
We're going to try to
You
cancel
can't.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. People are already and we talked about it before show. What were we talking about before the show? Something about with him. But people are looking to put the blame on him at this point.
Right.
And now it's turning into this whole.
That's what I was going to bring to my side of the table when it gets to me.
Yeah, people are trying to put this on his. Well, I'll let you. We're talking about the. Go ahead.
I just like
Can't remember what we were talking about.
you guys did a superb job of touching on about 80% of my argument. So like, I'm not even going to get into those waters again. The only thing that I'm going to add to it is that, so where I blame Travis, the one instance that I blame him is that I was doing some digging, and I guess about a year ago, he was holding a show and he was interviewed as saying he wants his shows to basically be like a wrestling match. He wants his crowds to be, you know, as angry and emotional as possible. And I feel like that's the irresponsible part of something like this. Now, you know, it's fair enough to wish that onto people and all that, but there's some people in that audience, like young kids who go and see those shows. Travis Scott, maybe a 13-year-old here and there that is influenced by his music, that they can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
That's the irresponsible part of it. But I don't blame Travis Scott as a whole for everything. I feel like a lot of this, honestly, it kind of goes on the venue, to be honest. It's a lot of what you said, Dan, for anybody who's listening. Basically, it was, you know, security mixed with the interruption of technology. Like their intel was fried, I guess, at certain times. They couldn't communicate with one another. It's a big problem when you've got 40,000 people that you are trying to keep in line at all
Cell
times.
towers were probably down with that many people being there.
You have no communication at that point.
Yeah.
That means that you are pretty much on your own, or whoever the two security guards are with you, nearest to you, you are on your own against that big horde. Good luck.
Yeah.
That can't happen under any circumstance.
No.
So I feel like Ryan touched on one of my biggest fears in that, you know, you only have to get hit with the baseball once before they put a net around the whole damn field. And they did. So the person that gets killed, or the 8 people that get killed at a concert, what's to come from that?
Yeah.
What I worry about is that the preventive measures are going to come at a cost of our experience.
Yep.
So that intimacy that you like with an artist, whether it be pushing to the front of the line to get closer and, you know, possibly reach out and come close to touching their hand, or whatever, or the experience of the audience itself, you know, moshing around with people. Like, I love that infectious energy, and, you know, it gets me ready and makes the music sound even better, whatever it may be. I feel like that's going to be sacrificed for all of this. When I feel like the preventive measures that need to go in are backups when it comes to something like Intel being fried. You need to look for a backup plan after that. You need to look up for, there needs to be, I'm fine with more security being out there. I understand we're under a hiring crisis right now with everything going on, obviously, in the world we've talked endlessly about. But to me, 40,000 people, if you don't have at least 10% of that that's out there in security, you do not have what it takes to control this crowd, because all it takes is one guy to inspire a legion. If one guy gets angry and everybody else gets infectious in that same pit, it's going to transpire very much like a virus, and it's going to run that place down.
Much like you, and to your point about the if they didn't have the people, much like other things have happened, you cancel the show, then you reschedule it. If you went into the show knowing, hey, we're not staffed appropriately, we don't have the security team that we need to safely do this, sorry, we have to reschedule the show. It happens all the time. You know, unfortunately, you say due to COVID or short staffed, we can't put this on safely for US fans. We need to hold this a different time.
They did that at the Rubber Bowl, you know, to anybody that's around Akron area. Like, they did that in its last heydays. They were having some big concerts there too. They canceled a big rap concert that was there because they didn't have enough security and they felt the venue wasn't safe. So they said, you know what, we're pulling this as a whole. It upset people, but ultimately it was the right move.
Right.
That's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah. And I wanted to say the second thing too that you guys didn't touch on, but I feel is a big influence in this that's getting overlooked by the media. Honestly, is in his target demographic. Now, I'm looking at that in terms of age, youth. Travis Scott has a lot of youthful fans, teenagers, all that rebelling teenagers. Where I think that's important is that, so someone like me, or you can even say Ryan, who's been to a lot of metal concerts in his life, we've certainly done our pits. We've been in there in the middle of some very ferocious pits. I know I have Slayer, Hatebreed, some of the most physical exertion I've ever gone through in my life. But the one unspoken rule, the one thing that unites all of those concerts together is that bond that if somebody falls, get his ass up. Like, everybody stop, pick that guy up and get him going. I think a lot of our listeners are going to agree with that stance too. That's kind of been for decades the rule when it comes to concerts. Yep. Nobody's here to get hurt. We're just here to vibe off of each of our energies. This is where I think a crowd like Travis Scott won't fully understand that, because most of these are youths. So they didn't grow up with these rules. They don't understand. For some, this might be their first concert.
Right.
So when they hear, hey, make it like a wrestling match in here and go nuts, well, that's fucking balls to the wall. Let's fucking hit each other with chairs and go nuts and, all that shit.
Get the barbed wire out.
They don't realize that, there's a screening that comes with that kind of words. So to me, I feel like youth played a big factor into this. I'm not solely blaming the audience. It's a lot like what you guys said. I feel like there's a lot of responsible parties here. I feel like anybody who was at that concert, whether it be the talent on stage, whether it be the technical aspects off stage, whether it be the crowd, I think everybody was to blame for this. Yeah. And that's probably not the take that a lot of people are going to like, but that's the way it is. I don't feel like you can single-handedly shell out Travis Scott. I don't think that's fair. For a guy whose sole responsibility is to be on stage, to be entertaining, to worry about if his microphone's working, if his sound sounds good, all that things that you're worried about as a musician.
Out there to sing.
I can't even see you when I'm here doing this, and I shouldn't. Like, it's not my job to look right at you.
Right.
That's
I
where
agree with that.
What I feel like people are overlooking. You guys both said that wonderfully, so I didn't touch back on those things. I just feel like it's one of those tragedies. It's very similar to Guns N' Roses in 1991 at Cincinnati. They had one person who died as a result of a stampede in their audience too. So this isn't the first time this has happened by any stretch of the imagination. But I feel like, unfortunately, because the number is 8, that it's going to be one of those things that CNN and Fox News are going to come down calling for repercussions and safety about our kids.
Well, and so to piggyback on that, and I'm sure more will come out as this evolves, but apparently some of those injuries or whatever that happened, or deaths or whatever, were a result of someone in the crowd had apparently, there's story coming out that someone in the crowd was going around and injecting people with a drug.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was a security guard.
The security guard was one of the victims, and he got Narcan to try and revive him. So,
and they looked at his neck and they found a prick.
So even outside of everything else that happened,
murder,
they could have put on the show perfectly, had all the staffing and security you needed, and this person in the audience created havoc in itself. So I think those numbers are kind of escalating the situation more when that really had nothing to do with the other things that were happening. Like
the environmental elements.
It's just a perfect storm. Like you said, so many things went wrong.
Yeah.
That is just making this look so awful. And then everyone's going to look at Travis Scott as the responsible party because it's his show and that's the big name.
He's the martyr.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, if this person that did this, if the story's true and it comes out, I mean, that's a big problem for them, you know? So hopefully everyone else ends up being okay. It's just an awful and a sad situation. We're trying to get back to normalcy and post-COVID and do the things that we enjoy. And then we have to have stupid stuff like this happen, you know?
Unfortunately, we live in a world where enough things are killing our people. Yeah. We don't need one more stupid thing behind it. So take care of people when you're at concerts. You know, if you're one of these pit dwellers like I used to be, you know, bump against people by all means. But if somebody falls, pick them up. Yeah. You know, we're all here to have a good time. Nobody needs to die or get hurt as a result of our selfishness.
That's, I mean, you'll hear artists say it time and time again. Performers is like, this is the greatest moment for them to see all these people come together and enjoying the same, that they all have the same thing in common. They're all there for the same reason.
Vibe off that music,
you know, to be there and experience the artist they love perform live. Like That's what we should be setting. This type of stuff should not be happening.
Yep.
People that are going to these shows to cause this sort of trouble, like, you're just a piece of shit. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, there's no this person that went there with drugs in a backpack or something that had intention to harm people. Like, you're just a piece of shit.
There has to be, like, obviously they record every concert, you know, whether they plan to release it on DVD or whatever, they always record. There's always cameras at every concert. Somebody has footage of that guy fucking going around and doing that. And that dude needs to be found. And he's the one that needs to be punished for all this.
Yeah.
So I was watching one of the first responders, one of the paramedics, was explaining the whole situation, like what he had to deal with.
Yeah.
So he got called over to somebody, and him and his partner went to see what's wrong, like try to revive because they were passed out.
Yeah.
Didn't have a med kit with him, so he had to go get that. The other person stayed. In the process of him going to get that kit and coming back, he crossed paths with two other medics that were trying to
help other people.
Yeah. And they're by themselves. You're not supposed to give CPR by yourself. Like, that's just like the medic training. CPR is given in a 2-person team. Well, he had to keep telling these guys, you're not allowed to leave. Once you have your first patient or whatever, your first,
stay with them until
they revive, until they're good.
Yeah.
When you're done with that one, then you move on to the next. So he kept telling them, like, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And there was one lady that he approached, and they were out, no pulse, no breathing for 10 minutes.
Jesus.
That person was laying there.
That's what I was thinking too.
That person was laying there with no pulse, no breathing for 10 minutes.
And people are probably still around. People are raging and doing their thing.
People are trampling.
It's fucking awful.
Like,
man.
Stop what you're doing. Help them
carry
out.
that person out of the crowd. I've done that before.
Exactly.
I've literally carried somebody from the front row out of a mosh pit to the medical station
10 minutes
because no one was helping them.
These people are over that girl's body.
It's fucking awful, man.
That's the selflessness or selfishness. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Selfishness that
I put as much blame on the crowd or the people there as anybody else at this show.
Oh, I do too.
Some people were getting up, and there's 2 people that I saw get up on the stage to try to get them to stop it.
Yeah.
But
I thought it might have been TikTok, people chanting "Stop the show." Did you see that video?
I didn't see that.
I saw a video of the crowd literally chanting "Stop the show," because it was getting so chaotic. I'll have to pull it and reference it. But
there's 2 people that got up to try to tell him to stop, and he's like, "Get out of here!" Like, he kept pushing, but he didn't know that. I'm sure he didn't know. He was feeding off the energy of the crowd.
It's like I said, you can't expect, when you look out at a legion of 40,000 people, are you supposed to babysit every single one of them?
Right. Well, there's 2 people on the stage coming up behind him to tell him, like, hey, we need to, there's some problems. But he told them to get back because, again, he's feeding off of if they would have came out, grabbed him and pulled him off the stage, which is what they should have done, then explain to him away from that crazy crowd noise.
Right.
And maybe he'd come back out and say, we got some people in the crowd that are down. They need to get some help.
Yeah.
Let the paramedics through, because if you see one of the camera shots over, there's ambulances driving into the crowd of people, trying to get to people.
The only thing I can say to that, and obviously I can't speak as a musician because I've never really truly been a musician, but I can say, like, when I was a professional wrestler, like, there was at one point that I was in a match where one of the participants in it got seriously hurt, and the guys, they rushed him out of there as quick as they could, and the owner of our league, basically the guy that the director of everything, he basically told us, cut the match, make it as quick as you can. We still had 10 minutes left on our bill. Me as a entertainer was saying, no, like, get him out of here. We finish this match for these paying customers. So I where I draw that conclusion though with Travis Scott is that you're an entertainer, you're in the zone, you're in that moment. You're almost like an actor where you're trained to, like, look, I'm putting on a performance right now. You can't just tell me to just stop.
Right.
Like, this is like, it's all been building to this. You can't just say stop to me. Right. So you're right. They almost should have I think that's probably the only way they would have ended it.
They just ripped him off the stage.
If you grab him and just take him off, you almost have to do that. I hate to say it, but nobody could have told me to stop.
Yeah.
Apparently, the 2 of the youngest were 14 and 16. 14 and 16 years old were two of the ones that passed away.
That's youth, though. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that's the whole crowd, obviously, but a lot of his audience, you have to say, partakes to that youthful demographic.
Definitely teens.
So they don't know. They've never been to a concert, or they've been to, I don't know, the Backstreet Boys or something like that. They've never been to a real concert where pits apply to anything. So they don't know those unspoken rules. I feel like that miseducation that could get somebody killed, and it did.
It did.
Yeah, so apparently there's a video. It was posted by TikTok user. It's been viewed over 26 million times. That shows the crowd chanting "Stop the show," trying to get them to halt it. Like they were the crowd knew something was wrong or that things were going awry, and they were attempting to get it shut down.
Yeah.
At which point, I don't know, if you had a whole crowd saying that, I think you got to be able to someone there, maybe not him. Someone there knows.
That's the thing. Maybe those guys that were on the stage coming up behind him to tell him to stop the show, maybe those were the ones that got word that these people are chanting like there's problems out there.
Yeah.
But you know that you got to grab them and pull them off the show for it to stop.
I think
the energy is, especially in shows like that, the energy,
even if you don't pull him off,
crazy.
Stop him. As the stage performer, stop
the music.
Hey, is everything okay? What's going? Like, you have a mic. See what's going on. See what the problem is. You know, I've been to concerts where the performer has done that before.
If I'm a stage tech, if I've got the approval from like the housing venue, they say, hey, pull the cord or whatever, I'm pulling the cord.
Absolutely.
You're not even going to be able to hear guitars or music or anything like that. I'm pulling it right now. It's stopped. How's he going to keep performing if there's nothing that he can perform to?
I don't think he would. I'd be shocked if this man intentionally kept performing knowing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's a big mess, and I feel like there's still so many details that we don't know about it. So this is just, you know, our initial delve into the experience. Obviously, when more information becomes awry, we'll be on top of it. But for right now, 8 people are dead and 14 are injured, and I just feel like all of it was so unnecessary.
Yeah, he just needs to go back to doing his concerts on Fortnite.
Nobody ever got hurt with Fortnite.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and me being into the sneaker game and everything, and like just hearing people say to cancel him when he's driving hype on any shoe. Excuse me, any shoe that
canceling.
Any shoe that comes out, if he's wearing it, people are going after it. Like that's just the influence that he has.
Get a job, guys.
So
get a life.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I mean, looking at videos, I mean, just in a quick search on here, I just went on TikTok and just typed in Travis Scott concert, and there's literally like a girl on stage screaming that someone is dead and a guy crying behind. They're on stage, like they're talking to someone on the stage, and they're just trying to remove them, like get them off the stage, like that, and he's still performing.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't look good.
I like,
again, not on him, because he's probably just know this is happening.
I guess he looks at it as a skeptic, you know, in terms of like, here's these punk kids who are probably faking a death or something.
Someone's dead or stop. You got to at least look into. I don't know, man. That's crazy.
It's a lot of accounting parties. That's why I said there's no perfect answer to this. I feel like a lot are to blame, and that's going to be the hard part, is figuring out what do you fix about something like this. You know,
it's just tragic. Like you don't really hear about. I mean, I don't remember the last time we've heard a story about something like this going so awry at a concert.
Woodstock 99, pretty much.
I mean,
that's what they're saying. They're comparing like this is similar.
Yeah, well, look at
the next Woodstock.
I mean, it's nowhere near on that scale. Woodstock 99 was a catastrophe.
Yeah, which I even like something like that. I can't believe that was even allowed. I mean, the amount of people there.
There's a great documentary on HBO about Woodstock 99, and I highly recommend it. You should check it out. That's it for Hollywood Report, though.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we had to end it with a tragedy, but I feel like that was the most important story of the week.
No, it is very impactful, especially for that segment. So we're going to kick it off over to Let's Get Social now.
It is July 20th, 1969.
Moon.
And man is about to land on the moon.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That's the way the news goes.
He's a fucking liar. He did have sexual relations with that woman.
He did. He bent her over the desk and he.
Whoa, old motorboat. Huh? Jeez. Let's get social. I got a couple things for us this week. Let's see. So Chris sent me this story about a Stowe high school student. So it's based somewhat local to us here in Akron, Ohio. And she has created an Instagram account where she is sharing stories of I don't know, is it bullying or, you know, situations with students at school?
Dissatisfaction, we can summarize it into.
Okay.
Yeah, that pertains to bullying or
oh yeah, it says so it's called Concerned Students of SMFHS, which I'm assuming is Stowe Monroe Falls High School.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, great for her to take that on. I think in the age that we're at right now with bullying and things that happen at schools, whether it be, you know, student misconduct or teacher misconduct, there's all of these TikTok challenges going on where people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff at schools. For her to take on, whether maybe it's for clout, who cares? If it's getting the word out there that these things are happening,
shedding
light on the situation.
That's the good part of social media.
Right. Yeah. I commend her for doing that. I haven't had a chance to read any of the stories yet, but her page has got 913 followers so far. And it says the info or the bio for the page says, this account is intended to give students in the high school a place to share their stories that are silenced by the administrators. So if you're interested in checking that out, again, it's Concerned Students of SMFHS. That's on Instagram. And she also has a story in the Beacon Journal that talks about, you know, what she's doing. So check that out, though. I mean, I think I commend her using a platform of social media to try and bring some change and light to things. I mean, good for her. What are your thoughts on it, Chris? You found the story.
So when I was reading this article, and granted it was a week ago, so my memories are a little foggy at this point, but like I couldn't help but wonder, if I'm an administrator, like how shitty do I feel about everything going on? Because really this whole thing was made because of my incompetence.
So, well, apparently the principal found it and says that it's a one-sided social media.
I'm sure it is. It always is.
And, you know, that this does not portray accurately, you know, the hardest thing, which, okay, I'm sure like everything always has more than one side.
Yeah.
And I know I was a student, you know, you get disgruntled and you can elaborate or stretch the truth a little bit and turn things into something maybe they aren't. But if you get enough of these stories or accounts coming out, it's got to at least be looked into. You know, and this might open the door for other schools or other students to reach out to her and say, hey, share mine, even though and post in the comments from a different school, you know, and kind of elaborate on it.
So I'll say this, and I don't talk about this often, and I don't want to overtake your topic point here, but being one of those victims, freshman year, I was at Cuyahoga Falls, and for about a month and a half, like 6 weeks, something like that, I was jumped every day after school by a couple of members of the football team. I was on the football team too. They wanted me off of it. That was the whole sole emphasis for why they were doing this to me every day. So after it's like second or third time, you know, I grew tired of it. I grew angry. So I basically went down to the school board, the board itself, not so much the principal. I went down to the Cuyahoga Falls school board and I had said, look, if this doesn't get solved, man, I'm going to go nuts on these kids. So much as like I was threatening them literally to the face of the administration. And it was pretty much that, well, you know, try to find alternate ways to go home or try to do this. And it baffled me, man. My whole experience there was summarized in that meeting. And I knew I had about 2 months left of my time at Falls, but I knew I'm biding my time and then I'm gone. I'm not coming back here for sophomore year. And if my parents make me, I'm going to run away. So to understand this place that of perspective that these kids are coming from, I feel like this is great. It's terrific to do this. If the administration wants to say that this is a one-sided argument, then here's what you do. In correspondence, instead of saying that it's a one-sided argument, say, hey, bring it to us and we will handle it. Now that there's attention on us, we'll actually do our job and we'll step up and do it. I'm not saying all administrations are the same way, but if these kids felt like there was nobody that they could go to, that needs to be looked at as an issue. It doesn't matter how it makes you look.
Right.
It more matters that the kid is okay and feels safe going to school there every day.
Yeah. And in the day and age that we're in now with, you know what, when you really think about just reading a couple of the stories, a lot of it's around mental health and stuff. It doesn't shock me at all that it's being dismissed, because I feel like we've talked about this on the show. Me and Jesse kind of got into it in a segment over mental health. And I think we're so dismissive of it, that we don't take caution when it comes to someone saying that they have something going on. We're not there or supportive. We don't check on our friends that need the help.
The Olympic athlete, I remember that now. Yeah.
The first story that I read on here is a student saying that they went to their counselor to discuss that they were just vocal about being depressed, and they were seeking assistance from the counselor, and they were told, you're obviously not depressed. You're a straight A student. You have an okay home life. It literally says in there that they couldn't be depressed because they're not cutting. That they were told that they're not depressed because they're not harming themselves, so they must be okay.
I've never harmed myself one day in my life.
I can't imagine if I am a struggling high school student who is facing something of the nature of depression and maybe suicidal thoughts and stuff, and to go to the people you're supposed to be able to go to for help, and then for them to gaslight you and say you're fine, go back and you'll be okay. Yeah. Like, that's just awful. Those are the problem. That is terrible.
Yeah.
That is a huge issue, and there's multiple stories about this with counselors. I guess a big part of this page is issue with the counselors or the staffing, where students are going to them for help and they're just kind of being pushed away. Like, you'll be okay. It's part of being a kid type thing.
So I was gonna say, how many of these students are going to the counselor, and counselors can get overwhelmed with stuff like that.
Sure.
So do you need to, as an administration, do you need to hire more more people with experience to deal with more than 5 at a time?
Yeah. Even to that point, even if it's okay. So my graduating class was 200 roughly people. Okay. So there was 4 classes in the high school. So say there's 800 kids and maybe there's only 10 counselors, which that obviously
usually
it's huge,
not that usually it's not that many. I think in
even
my high school I had like 3 counselors
I had 4.
Yeah. So even so, that ratio is off. I mean, it's way more students than you got counselors.
Yeah.
So you've got 8, 4, whatever it is. A student cannot come to you and you turn them away.
Yeah.
Even if it's something as simple as, hey, I'm hearing you, I understand. Let's look at options. Let's get your parent involved, or I don't know what that protocol is. I'm not trained in a counselor.
Right.
But you certainly don't tell a kid you're okay when they're coming to you and they're expressing that they're not okay. That's not the answer.
You have to look at it as, this might be the last time you ever get the chance to talk to this kid. Like, even if you don't want to, you have to look at matters as this might be it.
Yeah.
So you have to do everything in your power to make sure there is another time.
Yeah.
So I feel I was borderline into depression with work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's common.
That's why I had to step away, because when I made a claim about things going on in the job and this and that, the response that I got was, well, you're in this position because we know you could do it.
Yeah.
That was the response. Wasn't.
Thanks for caring about me.
Yep.
Exactly.
Corporate bullshit.
And that's basically the same response that some of these counselors are telling the students, where like, hey, you're fine.
That part of that's poor management, because I went through, as you guys both know, a very tough end of last year, early this year. And I went to my direct manager with a similar thing as Dan. I'm going through a hard time right now, things are rough. And she was like, take all the time you need. If you need to file for FMLA and take the next 4 months off, I'll approve it. I don't care. If you need to quit and want to come back in 6 months, you're hired. I don't like that. Is where you've got people leading that shouldn't be responsible for other people's well-being, and that's, I don't want to bash these counselors because I don't know the full story, and there's obviously another side. But again, if there's enough accounts of this, if you can't do the job, don't be in that position. You literally have your sole responsibility as a counselor is the well-being of the students.
Yeah.
If you cannot do that job, you cannot be in that role. You cannot be their connecting point while they're at school. Some of these kids probably look to go to school, like a lot of Jesse's, because that's the only place where they're around other people and they can feel safe.
Yeah.
And then to have to go to someone and be turned away. That's a lot what all that these people have. A lot of these students, that's the only outlet that they have. So I don't know. I think this is a huge deal. And I hope that it gets looked into, as much as they made a huge fucking deal of Hudson in their fucking student book that they were teaching. That wasn't even a big deal.
Yeah.
If you're going to blow that up as big of a deal as you did, then I certainly hope that this gets picked up and at least looked into, and something comes of it to put these students at ease, you know.
Like you said, one-sided account,
of course,
means there's an issue.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And you need to seek it.
Absolutely. Here's a very good point.
Long story short, if my friends made an Instagram page talking about how big of an asshole I was and made posts and examples about it all the time, doesn't matter if it's one-sided. That would make me go, man, there's a problem with the way they see me, apparently. So I need to know what the issue is right away, and I need to solve that issue.
I think Dan put it perfect. One-sided means that there's an issue. If you've got enough people that there's a side, it's for a reason.
Still an issue. Yep.
So look into it. Don't brush it off like the principal did. Oh, whatever. Like, that's such a bullshit response, man.
That's how people end up killed, man. That's how kids take their own lives because of shit like that.
And I think what a lot of these kids are probably feeling is Stowe, that area is a well-to-do, fairly nice area.
Yeah.
So they're probably thinking, you're fine. You live in fucking Stowe. How rough could your life be? And it's just being pushed away.
Because depression only happens in the ghetto.
Right. Exactly. Really sad. But again, one of those things that we need to be more open-minded about. Talking about perfect segues. Let's talk about Veterans Day tomorrow, because it's the perfect time to talk about mental health and awareness and things for that, because Veterans Day is one of those days that I think is I think it's a really important holiday. You know, I do think that it is something we should reflect on more often than not. Not for our barbecues granted, I'm off work tomorrow and I'm paid for it, and thankfully that's because we're celebrating. Sorry, Chris. We're celebrating. We're supposed to be honoring the people that have served and allotted us the freedoms that we have. I'm sorry that your company doesn't believe in supporting our veterans like mine does. So you need to figure that out.
I didn't say that.
But outside of that, my little brother, so I've talked about on the show, my little brother's been a guest on the show. Both my brothers are veterans. Both my grandfathers were veterans. A lot of military connection in my family. Norm, who's been on the show, is a veteran. I hold it close to heart. And my little brother shared a video this morning that kind of told of some really sad facts about the way that veterans are treated in this country, and, you know, suicide rates and homelessness and seeking, much like these students, going to their source that's supposed to be their help, which is the VA, the Veterans Affairs Hospital, Veterans Affairs Services, seeking assistance and not getting it. One of my brothers, I don't want to put them out there by name or anything, but he has dealt with a lot of struggles because of the time that he served. And he's gone to the Veterans Affairs office on numerous accounts and gets nothing, you know, whether it be they're understaffed or they brush it off. They're underfunded, terribly underfunded. So the means that they have to assist is so outdated or so far behind. You know, he struggled with many, mental things, physical attributes. Yeah. PTSD, physical and health concerns that he's had from the time he served. And a lot of it gets brushed off, you know, and it's just very sad that we are so apt to help others. We've talked about it on the show before. Chris, you're very open about it. Jesse shares a very similar agreement with you on as far as helping outside this country, helping outside our four walls, and not focusing so much on what we have here.
The people who fought for our freedom.
Exactly. I think of all people, I don't want to say putting them on a pedestal, because it's not what I mean, but you think of all the people that we're going to be there for and support and make sure they're taken care of, that would be in the top 3, top 5.
Put them on
put them up there.
Put them on the pedestal.
I was going to kind of say,
they
I'm
deserve
fine with
it.
that.
They put their life in the line of fire for our country.
Who deserves it if not them?
I guess we're going to give $600 to somebody who chooses not to get a job.
No shit.
Every week. So I give it to those who deserve it.
Yeah.
And the veterans definitely do, those who are struggling, because when they come back, they don't always come back to a cushy life like you're living.
I guess very well said. My whole not put it on pedestal is just more so like, I know that's not what a lot of them don't want to be seen. You know, this isn't a woe me or like, a lot of them don't like to be addressed or seen for that, you know, which they went, they did a job they felt that they needed to do or wanted to do, just like we go to work every day, and they're not looking for a handout or anything like that. So that's what I mean about not trying to like put them up there like, you know, they're better than us or that, et cetera. I think, but respect them, take care of them, give them the basic needs that other people are getting. Like Dan said, they're getting fucking handouts.
That should be the easiest thing.
Unemployed, absolutely not contributing to society whatsoever. Free medical care, free food, free housing. Yet these people are living on this
next year. Like, yeah, they're going to get money back from their taxes.
It just blows my mind. Yeah. It's an awful thing. So think about that. You know, this show will be releasing on Veterans Day if you happen to listen to it on Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Think about that and what you can do, or thanking a veteran if you see them. You know, whether you want to donate. And, you know, a lot of times these shelters and stuff are around, or like charities will do like veterans dinners. You can go and volunteer and like serve food. A lot of restaurants are going to do free foods and things tomorrow. If you see a veteran out and you're out to eat, thank them, you know, appreciate them. Even though a lot of them don't want to be out and be noticed, they do appreciate. I'm sure it makes them feel good when you show respect. So, Chris, you got something to say?
A good film that kind of articulates everything you mentioned and all the troubles that veterans face when they come back to homeland soil is Thank You for Your Service, starring Miles Teller.
Yes. Yes.
So this movie is very hard hitting and very tough to watch at times, just because of how angry it makes you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like there's ever been a film that perfectly captures what veterans go through better than this one does. And you know, to summarize it all up, it's fucked up. It really is. And I feel like, you know, I understood what Ryan was trying to say as far as they don't want to be put on a pedestal and all that. And I'm cool with that if that's their intentions. But to me, the bare basic traits of humanity, like give them food, give them shelter, give them what they've earned. I mean, because without them, there is no us. There's nothing that we're going through. So to me, like, that should go without saying. Like, if you're a veteran in this country and you fought in a war, you should never have to worry about paying a bill for the rest of your life.
Straight. If you want to tell me that we're going to pay Congress, senators, presidents their salary for the rest of their life, after they're no longer in office, you can't tell me that you can't do something for veterans. You can't tell me that they don't get some sort of permanent income stipend or free medical, whatever it might be. I mean, they should get the best of the best. You're giving congressmen and senates the best fucking medical care they have.
Yeah.
Free housing, fucking car allowances and shit. And honestly, they don't do shit.
I don't respect
do
those
any
bastards.
good for this fucking country.
I respect soldiers 10 times more than them.
Give me a fucking break. It is fucked up. It needs to be changed because this has been going on for far longer than not. And we got to do something about it. You know, we have to be vocal about these things. And I don't want to hear they signed up for it. They knew what they were getting into. That's part of the job. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
No one signed up for the shit that they go through. You know, you sign up to protect the country, but that doesn't mean that you're signing up to be fucking
standing next to your friend.
Yeah, while they get killed. You know, of course we know that that's a potential.
Funny how that argument matters, but when it's Blue Lives Matter, that argument's a lot different.
Good point. Yeah, honestly,
it
is a good point though. I just think that's a cop out and being vocal about it. One of our guests that's been on the show before, and a friend, I commented about Veterans Day, and he commented, you know, watch out what you speak about because people are going to get upset or they might unfriend you because you're actually speaking out about, you know what, fuck you. Delete me. If your view doesn't align that you think that veterans should be taken care of and that their sacrifices don't mean something, then please delete me.
I believe I remember when that happened to him because he posted a status about it. I think it was like 2 years ago. He posted a status about it and I couldn't believe it. And this guy was a veteran too.
That's what he said.
And I was like, so what's the point then? Like,
that's just those people that are on their high horse that want to feel entitled or like, bro, we're like Army proud or Marine proud. We don't need that. We don't need shit from them. Like, fuck off, bro.
That's toxic masculinity.
Yeah, there's others that do. There's other
exactly.
They're not you. If you can handle yourself after your serve time, great.
But not everybody's
Thank you
like
for
that.
your service, but not everybody.
Yep. To Chris's point, toxic masculinity. Yep. We have found it so hard
to ask for help,
to ask for help or feel like you're not a man. Look, you both know I'm a fucking softie. I cry fucking pretty much every movie I see.
He cries when the fucking whale jumps over the rocks.
How could you not? Standing there like
even
this
today, not when a movie came out
This
3
was
weeks
last
ago. Was it
week.
last week? I was gonna say like 2
Bro.
weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
I was watching a movie today and I almost cried while I was watching it. And I've seen the movie before. I mean, it just look, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong as men with sharing that you're going through struggles or that you care or that you need help. You know, it's just one of those things that we as society have stamped as like, you shouldn't do that. And it's stupid. You know, we should be able to change as much as we've evolved in the last several years with equal rights and coming out with the support of, you know, the different genders and sexualities and trying to face the realities of racial issues and things. Like, let's continue to evolve. I don't know why we feel the need that we can't ask for help, or that we shouldn't be able to feel like we can ask for help. And I'm sure part of that is a military thing, as much as it's a male masculinity thing as it is, but then you partner that with being a Marine, if anything, which is, you know, the top echelon of military. They're the toughest, baddest ones out there. I'm sure they're not going to look to want help, but it's okay. It's okay to need and to ask for help.
That's why they have those
help.
VAs. I mean, but they got to be funded.
Yep. And that comes from the top. You know, the government has to do a better job with funding these, with government funding to these places.
These programs,
you know? These programs need to be as important as anything else, you know, that we're willing to put our money towards. We spend so much money on fighting the wars, but we don't fucking spend any of the money on what happens after the fact.
And as they say,
fighting other people's wars.
No shit.
It's the richest business going today. There's not a business in America that is more lucrative than war. You can't name it.
You know what's really sad, and just it came into my mind as we're just talking about this right now, is that how much disgust people wanted to show towards Biden because he pulled troops out of Afghanistan and left behind military equipment. Oh God, all that money is going to waste. We left that there, but don't give any shits about the people that come back, that we won't spend any money on them.
That's a big problem when we value more the equipment than we value the money loss rather than the lives. That's a huge problem, man.
That's just fucked up, man.
It starts with us. It really does. But I think you're right, though. The biggest problem is obviously those higher ups, you know, with their programs and legislator. But I feel like there's a big problem as far as depiction goes in this country. And we need to value those people we have who are still a part of our planet, our world, you know, who made it back, you know, and cherish them. I just feel like we don't do that.
Yeah. And tomorrow is Veterans Day. So I know there's a lot of confusion year over year. And I've been guilty of this and I've gotten yelled at for it. Veterans Day is anybody that has served or currently served. Memorial Day, which happens early in the year, is anyone that served that passed away. But just for some people didn't know that. And honestly, there was a big argument on Facebook about it one year because someone said, like, you know, thanks to the service members serving right now on like Memorial Day. And it was like a huge deal. Like, people are just trying to show that they care, but there's a difference. This is for anybody that served, you know, whatever it might be. I think more than anything, showing them appreciation and respect and that you care is the most important part.
I always say happy birthday to my Marine friends like John Life, and I got another guy named Sean Hartman. I said happy birthday today.
Good. Yeah, I think we need that, you know. So again, anytime I see a veteran out, I try and thank them for their service. But especially tomorrow, if you happen to be out doing anything, shopping, going out to eat, you see someone, thank them. You know, I always ask them, because a lot of times in my previous role, a lot of my clients would come in, they'd always have like the old school baseball hats on with the yellow like tassel across the front, and then it'd say big USMC on the front or Army, whatever. And I'd always strike up conversation. Oh, did you serve? You know, my brother served, whatever. And just talking to them about it, like, you could tell that it just made them kind of feel good and that you like acknowledged it. Just make an effort. You know, if you're in any sort of job where you have to like check IDs and you happen to notice on there that says Armed Forces at the bottom, thank them for their service. It makes a big deal. It makes them feel good.
It's funny because I usually, like, if I see one in a restaurant, I'll go up to them and like shake their hand and say, thank you, sir. And they don't even know, like, I don't say anything else. I just say, thank you, sir. And they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the details for the fear that it might be sensitive to them and all that. So I just say, thank you, sir, and hope that they know what I'm talking about.
And that's huge. And just doing it just for the sake of doing it out of respect, not trying to get anything out of it, not thank you, shake their hand and you walk away. And that's it. And it means the world to them. You know, I'm sure some of them really, some might not care, but a lot of them do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nice. I do the same thing with police officers and firemen, if I see one like one-on-one or something, I'll thank them for their service and work. I deal with a lot of New York City cops and firefighters in my current role, and I always make the effort to just say, thank you for what you do.
On the phone, you talk.
Yeah. And it's really funny because the accent is hilarious. It's like strong, deep New York City.
That's what I was talking about Jordan Belfort.
Yeah, like cops and firefighters, man. But you know what? The thing is, every time I say it to them, you can just hear it in their voice, like, "Wow, thank you." Like, you're not face to face with them. Why do I fucking care? But because you have to appreciate those things. Yeah. These people do so much for us, whether you see it or not, or your Blue Lives Matter or Black Lives, it doesn't matter. There are good people out there, and it's important to show them respect, even just each other, regardless of being a military or not. Just treating your fellow men with respect and caring. So
they've seen things we haven't even dreamed of. So
yeah.
And I don't want to. And
but I've seen it in movies.
Yeah. That's nice from the plush couch that you're sitting on.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Not on the front line watching it. That's you gotta have mad respect for somebody who volunteers.
Yeah, bro, I couldn't
to do that.
My sister's a veteran. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks to her. Thanks to anybody else listening that has served or is currently serving. So we appreciate you. Happy Veterans Day to anybody listening to this on Veterans Day or in the future. What else we got? So this one I kind of found funny because we've talked about these two countries in recent news, China. And the US. And this was a story I didn't expect to read, but of all the countries in this world that are coming together to work on something, China and the United States have come to terms and agreement on within this decade affecting change and the climate change. So they announced something at the summit, United Nations summit, about how they are going to partner together to devise a plan to bring down climate change, or at least work towards a better plan within emissions and the waste that we have.
That's two as big of world powers as you can get right there.
I feel like that's a huge deal. You know, granted, look, we've talked about this for so long. I feel like nothing ever happens. But for them, which are two opposing forces who really don't like each other, I think that's kind of a big deal. And I think that if anybody has the ability to, whether it be fund it or aid in it or bring knowledge towards it, those are two of the biggest countries. Us, obviously, I think we're one of the worst. I think we're like top three, if not number one.
We're so wasteful.
In emissions and
I got
waste, waste and things like that. Like as far as a negative contributing factor to the climate change. But China is extremely populated. I'm sure that they play their fair share in that. So great to come together. My question, elaborate on it as a whole, but my question with bringing this up to you guys was, what are your thoughts on global change as a whole? As far as where we stand at currently with the way that it's continued to get worse and never better. Do you think that we have the ability at this point to slow and or reverse the effects that we've had on our on the environment, on the globe, as far as our emissions and the waste that we have and the resources that we take from the earth? How do we fix this? Do we think that there's something that we can meaningfully do that's realistic to make any sort of change in this, whether it's in our lifetime or not, but just for the future as a whole?
To me, I think fix might be the wrong word, because once something damaged, it's kind of hard to replicate it or
makes sense,
fix it and all that. To me, I think
rectify
is the great word. But I feel like the thing that we can do though is slow down what's killing us right now. So obviously, and it's been proven that emissions and everything has played a big part in climate change over even just the last 40 years. It's almost tripled at this point. So to me, I feel like if you worked on, and they've tried to do different car schemes and, certainly cutting down on those kind of environmental pollutants. I feel like even to slow it down, to get it back to where it was, say in 1970 or something like that, is a huge part for future generations. So like I said, I don't think you're ever going to rectify it because, I don't think you can fix something that's already been damaged. But to me, if you can slow it down enough to where, it doesn't become a huge concern like it currently is right now. I mean, our winters are getting worse. Our storms are getting bigger and causing more damage. If you can fight that and you can suppress that even slightly, why not go for it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Daniel?
I definitely think we could slow it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing you got to think about is with the fuel going electric, lithium isn't never ending. It's not the answer.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
But what is
could we have solar powered cars? Is that realistic? I mean, you got to think. So to your point with lithium, these batteries can only be charged for so long, then they're bad, and then there's no way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So now we have these landfills or whatever that fill up with these toxic batteries, and they only go for so long. And then you got to, if you're, my brother has a Tesla, you can go, let's say it's maybe 500 miles. I don't even think it's that much, but say it's 500 miles. You're driving a long distance. Then you got to stop and you got to sit there at the rest stop or the charge station for an hour to 2 hours to recharge.
I always wondered how long that takes.
If you're a Tesla,
supercharger,
they've got the superchargers, and I think you can do your whole car for an hour maybe or something.
Fuck that though. Even still,
it might be less. I don't know. Well, let's say it's an hour. You got to stop, wait there for an hour, then drive, and then
go get lunch somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, would solar be realistic? You're driving the car, put a solar panel on the roof, you're recharging the entire time you're going. I don't know if that's same situation where it's charging like a lithium style battery.
I don't know that it could supply enough power.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we got to figure it out regardless.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
and are there connective issues with that? As far as solar power goes, if there's a storm in the area, would that hinder? Maybe not give you as much juice as you would have on a sunny day, for instance.
Right. I guess ultimately, what's the solution though? I mean, getting
ride a bike.
Yeah, I mean, mass transit. I mean, I know there's like natural gas buses and stuff as far as a lot of the what's that called? Public transit. They use a lot of natural gas, or they're trying to have lower emissions things like that. But
so what if somehow, some way, if they're doing it on buses, why can't you feed that to households? And it probably becomes a liability.
You can have natural gas for a house.
But you can have it, but feed into the houses. Fuel up your own vehicles with natural gas, running on natural gas. You're not,
I don't know,
going to the gas pumps to get fuel, but if you're out and about, you got to have natural gas.
You have to implement a whole nother infrastructure, which I think it could be conspiracy or just whatever. But I think a lot of our biggest stunter of this is the gas companies. They don't want to see this excel because they know,
right?
We've talked about it. We know the financial crisis this will cause for these top echelon CEOs who are banking billions off the gas industry. If we no longer need them,
Abu Dhabi,
then what do we do?
Yep.
Not to mention that they just implemented, or they're implementing, I think it goes into effect this year, if not already, that if you drive an electric vehicle, they're now charging you a road tax because of the money they're losing from you not buying gas.
See, that to me reminds me of why salads are more expensive than a burger or something like that. Like if you guys really gave a fuck about these things, that kind of thing would never ever be even brought to light. I think with the automobile spectrum, I don't even know if we've scraped the surface yet. We used to say that like they were looking at cornstarch even as being like a possible.
You can use fryer oil.
Gasoline, fryer oil.
It's actually usable.
Is that legit?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember like in the 90s, that was a big talking point that they're like, man, we're creating engines that run on cornstarch. And then there were others that they were talking about, even water would be like, a matter of it. I feel like just keep exploring, man. Keep looking for that new alternative.
Yeah.
Because to me, with more investigating and more, diving and digging, we wouldn't have half the ideas that we have right now.
You of all people probably would have seen this. There's actually a documentary out, and it's about a guy who invented or created the first vehicle that it was either water or fryer oil. And he tried to pitch this, and he ended up being killed or murdered, or he died not long after he drove it to like somewhere far to pitch, showing like he drove from like somewhere in the United States, like Mexico, like a really far distance, to prove like this is sustainable. This can actually work. And shortly after this, like a voyage and him publicizing this, he died. And they made a documentary about how he was, killed or murdered or whatever to keep this from being becoming mainstream.
I have not, but I feel like I've heard that story though.
I watched the documentary. It was on a streaming service, whether it was like a Discovery thing or something, but I actually did watch it. Look, we have the technology that we could figure this out. We just got to figure it out. Whether it's hydro powered or solar powered or something, we have to be able to find a viable source. I mean, it's no longer do we do it? Like, it has to happen. We can't continue at this rate any longer. And we just keep pushing. We're so self-involved that all these things just go by the stuff with the veterans, stuff with mental health, things with climate change or the world deteriorating. We just push the stuff off because we have so many other things to distract us, not necessarily to be selfish, but there's just so much other things going on.
We have ADD.
That nothing ever happened. Nothing happens. We've been talking about global climate change for as long as I can possibly remember.
Yeah.
Even for me, like I want to put solar panels on my house because I want to.
I would love to do it. I looked
almost
into it.
cut that cord of the electric company, but I've wanted to do that. It's expensive.
It's expensive, man. You get tax credits and stuff for it, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, but you got to pay all that up front.
And that's the thing. They got to make it better. They got to make it more accessible.
Exactly.
That's what I said about these electric cars. I said, now while they're starting to get these models that are a little cheaper, you're going around 25 grand now instead of 40. Like, it's still not to the point where I feel like the lower class would even attempt to try to get it.
Well, even outside of financial, at the end of the day, we're selfish, and if it's not convenient, we're not going to do it.
No.
So even if it was it's not accessible enough as far as the infrastructure, that even if it's within a price range that people are necessarily going to do it, because there's not a lot of it's harder to use. It's going to make your day-to-day commute and transit harder, and people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to go with a hybrid car right now.
I would.
With gas prices the way they are, just a little bit electric, a little bit of gas.
Yep.
You know, I'd love to do that, but you can't find one. If you find one for a decent price, it's way high in mileage.
Yeah.
I was sent a picture to Ryan earlier. I was looking at the 2021 Bronco.
Oh, okay.
And at the dealership, MSRP was like 30,000.
Sounds right.
But they had a ticket on it for 45,000.
This is wild.
It was a base model Bronco, 2021 Bronco 2-door that they're racking up 15 grand over MSRP.
Supply and demand right now, man.
You have like beer flavored nipples on it or something.
It's just like
supply and demand. Ford is so far behind on manufacturing. The Bronco has such a high demand. It's so popular. They literally can't keep up. So they're like, fuck it. If people want to buy them, this is how much we're going to charge for.
Thanks, OJ.
Even like Teslas, like you thought you could get like a Model 3 for what, 35, like 35,000.
Yeah,
it's up to 45,000 just at start.
See, and that's why that shit's never gonna happen.
And if you want to make that change in the world, you can't expect, like, most of the people on this planet are low income.
Yeah.
Yep. They're not going to be able to afford that.
You have to feed to the majority.
I'm middle class. I can't afford it.
Yeah. And the way you speed on the freeway, forget about it.
I just it's like, and it's not just the vehicles that we need to work on to save the climate change. It's how we're disposing of trash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Recycling is a joke.
Why couldn't you do like
such a joke?
Recycling doesn't go to recycling plants.
No,
it goes to the
same plants.
Landfills.
Why couldn't you do what Doc Brown did and just run your DeLorean on trash and garbage?
It should be possible. Honestly.
Yeah,
it should be possible.
Thanks, Spielberg.
Like, I'd like to compost. It's just, to me, it seems like a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I mean, now I could probably do it, but
that's the thing.
I get it. You have the day off tomorrow. I understand. Okay.
But you're making all the same points that I think is the downfall of so many things that could be the change, is that it's hard work. It's not accessible to the majority.
Right.
And if it's for the better, like, we need to, why is, I guess, as people, are we the least valued? Like, our lives are like the least valuable thing in this country. The companies care about their bottom dollar and money over anything else. You know, we're the highest obesity rating in the entire world. Yep. We make it extremely hard to have access
to healthy
food that's affordable. Yeah, I can go to the store and buy healthy food. My food cost is going to be twice as much as if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I go to McDonald's and buy a hamburger for $1, or if I want to go to the store and make like a fresh salad, it's going to cost me $15.
It's
That's what I
cheaper.
was
People
saying.
can't afford that.
Yep.
You know, and I get it. And it kind of blows my mind because I'll watch documentaries on this stuff because I always like am fascinated by just the way that food is transported and transported and grown and all that.
Transportated.
Can't talk. You guys know that.
Transported.
But when you really think about it, the cost isn't high. It's that our wages are low. Because you think about all the work that goes into producing food that's grown locally, that's grown naturally, and how much they make off of it. And then what the resell is. It's honestly that not that these places are charging too much. It's just that, like Dan said, majority of this country is low income.
Yeah.
So we can't afford the food that is more healthy for us. And then we end up eating like shit, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
You know, it just never ends.
This is why documentaries like the 2 Super Size Me documentaries that
Yes.
came out, like they did a great job illustrating that. It's the fact that convenience, price, all these things are what leads to obesity being we're the #1 obesity killer in this world. Specifically Texas, which has 8 of the top 12 fattest cities in the country.
Yep. Put more focus on us as people, work-life balance, better wages, not working so often. Give us the time and the lifestyle that we have more ability to focus on ourselves, that we don't feel that we have to go the quickest, most convenient, cheapest route because we don't get a lunch at work and we got to try and eat in 5 minutes. So we go to McDonald's and grab a fucking hamburger and eat it. And that's what you're stuck with because we're the bottom of the totem pole as far as importance.
Yeah.
And no one has the time in their day to go home and want to cook after work, after they've worked all day long, and you're home at 6:30 at night, and then you got to spend an hour cooking dinner, and then you're going to go to bed and wake up and do it all fucking over again. It's an awful lifestyle. It's an awful cycle, and we just have to do better.
Here's the thing. Accommodate then to that denominator who likes to go fast food. Go that route then. And say like make a place called like Salad Shack or something like that. And you know, throw it on DoorDash or something.
Me and Nick Mancuso talked about this forever when we had the truck. We're like, dude, let's either stop doing the truck or get another one and let's do a health food truck. They're not out there.
I think it's a big gap right now.
Make
like,
it convenient.
Yeah, it's not out there. Yeah, you're right. You could capitalize on just being the singular voice.
Yes.
And I feel like if that accessibility was there, if that convenience was there, if that price was there, people would look at Burger King versus Salad Shack and they'd go, you know what? I better start eating healthy.
You've got like Fresh Planet. Is that the one in Thomas Circle?
Yep.
You've got like a pulp where they offer it.
The one in Falls, I can't clean eats.
But the menu is very limited.
Yeah.
It's not as they don't do drive-throughs, which again, if we're looking for convenience, we got to make it a quick, easy service.
That model. Yep.
Like, why is there not a drive-through restaurant that offers like a Chipotle style, but like build your own salad?
I agree.
Or a fresh wrap type thing, fresh fruit. Fresh vegetables. Why is it not a thing?
I agree.
Didn't they have something like that in like the malls where there's like a chopped salad place?
I saw chopped, but I didn't know what it was.
It was
probably
a
a bad
salad
thing.
place.
No one ate it, so they fucking shut
closed.
down.
Right.
Well, there's the end of that Disney tale.
Yeah.
As far as like,
I don't think it's caught on yet. I think that's part of the issue. Like we have this built up in our mind that we want this, but then like it's there and they fail because not enough people end up getting on board and actually supporting it.
I think you hit on a lot of it. It's basically that you have to look at the model is if you're coming out with a Salad Shack, you have to go, let's do everything that Burger King does, except their way of eating.
Yeah.
We'll copy them everything. We'll do as many commercials. We'll do, whatever it takes. We'll advertise out everything.
Yeah.
It needs to be the exact same model minus the food.
Yeah. People have to be willing to adapt to it. And again, it's got to be financially viable. And a Burger King can afford the business model that they have because the product they offer is so bad for you that it costs them nothing.
And they're a name.
Now you got to figure out, okay, we do a Salad Shack chain or franchise. You got to have a local vendor. You got to be able to make this stuff accessible and make it cost efficient. Because again, if you've got Salad Shack and Burger King and it's going to cost you $15 to eat here or $5 to eat here.
That's what I'm saying.
People are going to,
it's got to be even.
You have to find a way to make that.
But fresh food is more expensive.
Yeah. There's got to be a way that
you don't have the preservatives in there like Burger King.
Less time.
Frozen patties delivered to the.
But that's to his credit. I feel like the bigger problem is the administration that oversees this.
Yeah.
Why is that more expensive than, a fat hamburger?
Well, I know.
Fund it better. We need better.
There are food trucks out there that will go to like farmers markets, local farmers markets, load up the day of, take that fresh food and start.
But then the problem is that they go and sell you crap that's just not that great for you. Not bad for you. They're using organic.
I'm not talking.
They're using organic ingredients, but I mean, we gotta just make it
more accessible.
Yeah,
it's
more accessible.
Remember when they were saying how like, hey, if you want to save money, don't go out to eat so much.
It's cheaper to go out to eat.
It is right now. It is cheaper to go out to eat. Alicia and I spent $350 on groceries, and barely like the $150 that I had spent initially didn't even fill up the cart.
It's worse with the pandemic.
The $200 that we spent filled up the cart, but like that was a week later.
How long did you shop? How much was that to last you for?
It was only a week, really.
Oh my God, you guys are high roller shoppers, man.
I only go for a week.
Well, the 150 was a week, and then the next week it was 200. Like,
I can't afford more than that.
It was ridiculous.
You guys are eating
like
good.
the meat. The meat.
They're eating good. I mean, because I buy for a week and I spend way less than that. But again, because I know I don't want to spend that much money, so I'm buying I'm eating peanut butter and jellies and
I was buying,
but
so a lot of that I spent was like on when we had COVID.
Yeah,
when she had COVID.
But I'm not making it out that you're in the wrong. I mean, but it's expensive to eat real foods.
Yeah, and it's trying to eat like
somewhat
healthy
meals. Yep.
I don't eat breakfast. When I was working, I didn't normally eat breakfast. Now I'm eating a bowl of cereal in the morning.
Right. It starts to add up.
Yeah, it's expensive as shit.
It's wild. Yeah, food is right now. I mean, things are just more just because of everything else that's going on. There's been so much loss over the last 18 months.
It's not going to sustain.
Businesses are trying to recoup just the amount of losses that they've taken to survive. So hopefully that eventually levels out. But long-term wise, health food hasn't been as easily accessible forever. I mean, as long as we can think about it, it's just not. And you can go to Wendy's or Burger King and get a salad for a decent cost, but it's terrible for you.
Salad is worse than the burger.
It's just as bad as for you as getting a chicken sandwich or hamburger because of all the other shit that they add to it.
That's what they discovered in the first Super Size Me. It was that he was doing the calorie count and he saw like the McDonald's salad versus the Big Mac.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, when the hell? This is more than the Big Mac.
I didn't realize
Why don't I just eat the Big Mac?
Yeah. And people always say,
dressings.
Eat at home, not only just because it costs us, because it's better for you. I've done side-by-sides. Calorie-wise, it's honestly not that much better for you to eat at home, and you're spending just as much money or if not more.
Yeah.
Because the good foods is just not that is accessible.
I will say that like a steak at a steakhouse, like a Longhorn or an Outback, messes me up.
Hell yeah.
But I can eat a steak
Charlie's?
at home. Oh God, let's not talk about that. I can eat a steak at home and not feel that way.
Yeah. Paper stomach over here.
Oh.
Paper tummy.
That is a good point, though. To your point, I don't know if it's what they add to their foods, like additives, because I'll eat out places, and man, it's like it goes right through you. You're immediately like I feel like I have a stomach ache, but I don't get that when I eat at home.
No, I don't either.
I do agree with that.
I don't have that problem when I eat out.
Yeah, just me, Jesse, and Dan. Apparently, we got the peanut butter. Wow, it's the Play-Doh. We got the Play-Doh problem. But yeah, so climate change. We went way off topic, but it's just one of those things where it's like it just seems it all these kind of downfalls of whether it be society or of man, of the earth, are all in the same bucket of it's fixable. It's just we don't put the funding towards it or the effort towards fixing it, and it just continues to happen. So
exactly.
All right. Last thing I had for Let's Get Social. So last March-ish, I'm guessing it was around then, 2020. It was when all of the I'm not gonna say riots, all of the marches and things that were happening for the George Floyd incidents and stuff like that were happening. There was the shooting that involved Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know if you guys remember Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yep.
He was at one of these marches. He was armed, and he was on the opposing side. I guess he was one of the ones there that was, I don't want to say anti-Black Lives Matter, but he was against the rioting and the trashing of businesses and all that sort of thing that was erupting because of the unacknowledgement of the problem.
The gun.
Yeah. So he has a rifle and he's there and he's speaking out and against the other side, the narrative, and upset some people there. And in doing so, he's fleeing and these men are chasing after him, and he felt threatened for his life. And in self-defense, he shot a man and killed him. So he's been, I don't know if he's been in jail since then or on a house arrest, but he today testified in his own defense, which does not happen often in murder trials. A lot of times they don't put you on the stand because they think it's a for sure you're going to be held guilty type thing, or it's dumb. Yep. But he testified today in his defense of himself. And I watched a little bit of the testimony just to kind of check in and see what was going on. And I'm kind of curious if you guys remember him and what your thoughts on where we think he'd go. So, listening to his testimony today on stand, he's still standing true to, I felt my life was in danger. I am being chased by 3 men. I'm cornered. I have a gun. And my concern is that if they get me, they're going to use my own gun to kill me, or they're going to use my gun to kill me. And then they have a gun that's then going to harm other people that are
That's
here.
the problem with bringing a gun to a fucking march, huh?
Right. So but this is his defense. He felt his life was in danger. He pointed the gun at the man to deter him. It did not phase him. He did not stop at to which point he then shot him and he ends up dying. So I'm curious, just based on the narrative, based on what we have as the story, do you guys think his story holds true? What would you do in similar situation? Don't bring the gun. You brought the gun, whatever. You're there with the gun. You feel you're going to be attacked. What are your guys' kind of thoughts on the situation? Do you think that the court or the jurors hold him accountable? Do you think that he is in the right as far as self-defense in that situation?
I need specific details, like where this trial is taking place.
Oh, so that I don't know. I that detail I didn't get as far as where it's currently at.
Okay, because if it's where the whole incident took place,
he's guilty.
Yeah,
he's guilty. But they probably don't, just for don't they? They normally hold it somewhere else to give a fair.
It's local influence, because everybody knows that story where that was taking place. So I feel like they'll take him somewhere else. I don't know, man. I feel like the South, he'd probably get away with it, and I know that sounds typical, but I
guess okay. So
I don't have much to add to this, just because it's pretty cut and dry to me.
I mean, do you think that he? I mean, okay. So let's just put it at this. So let's eliminate George Floyd situation from it. So let's avoid that racial divide and the emotions and things that are involved in that situation,
even though that's why he's probably there to begin with.
Right. No, but I'm saying, just for the sake of argument, just to get down to the bottom line of the self-defense argument, you're out because you're allowed to carry a firearm. You can. He
was there protecting a business, right?
Yeah, he was there. Him and a couple other guys were there in front of a door, protecting that business from being attacked. That's why he had a firearm there. So let's eliminate that, though. You are a concealed carry, licensed to carry firearm holder, and you're out somewhere. You're at an event, whatever it might be, and someone there is upset by something you did. Maybe you said something stupid to them and offended them, and they threaten to kill you. They're going to beat the shit out of you. And you decide to leave because it's going to escalate, and they pursue you, and you have a firearm and you say, leave me alone, I'm leaving. And they continue to pursue you, and you're outnumbered 3-1. Do you use that firearm in self-defense? And is that okay? Or do you allow yourself to get jumped by 3 men and maybe they use your gun against you? Now, again, this is stripping it down, taking out a lot, but I just want to get down to just that base, that base item of self-defense, because that's what you have to ultimately look at. Because to Dan's point, he was there to protect this business. I don't know if there was relation to him or not, but he said, look, I'm not going to allow this business to be destroyed, as we know a lot of them were. And I'm not saying that they were at fault for the anger that they had and what they did, but he's standing up for this business and saying, I'm not going to allow this one to be vandalized and robbed. I'm going to be here with a gun, minding my business. And that escalates due to the situation. And then he feels that he is in harm's way. Do you have the right, do we have the right to use a firearm in that situation or not?
You do have the right to use, you're because you're stripping it down, there's way more to the story that will determine the outcome of how you're going to react. But
I guess
we all have the right to self-defend ourselves.
Well, I feel like once they attack me, if they make a lunge at me, you're dead. I mean, it's me or you, and you're going down.
Exactly. You have the gun, they're coming at you. I'm going to use it to defend myself.
Okay, so and here's the reason why I'm stripping it down and making it basic, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. The other emotion is there because of the George Floyd thing, but that doesn't play into your individual self-defense of yourself.
Yeah,
people are there,
that's
and
a media bias. That's
right.
Yeah,
right. So that's all there, and that's all background noise, and certain people are going to say he's guilty because they are on the side of Black Lives Matter and they're on the side of George Floyd.
Sure.
And they see this white guy here who is against it, who shot and killed someone supporting it, and he didn't have the right to do that, and he's guilty. But then you've got the people that are Blue Lives Matter who say he was in his right. So you have to strip that background noise out and really look at just the simple actions of what happened. But what's in self-defense and with as a firearm holder, your first thing is you have to retreat, which he did. As long as you attempt to retreat before using the firearm, if you still at that point feel your life is in danger, you have the right to use it in self-defense. That's my only concern. Look, I think
the definition is what do you consider as in danger, though?
Right.
Like, that's the thing, because in danger to a racist person,
it's very gray.
It's
and that's where it's going to be on the court, because the rule itself it's not black and white. It says that you've attempted to retreat. You didn't draw a firearm first, which he didn't. He left. I mean, he had a gun. They knew he had a gun, but he did try to leave. He didn't just shoot the guy in the crowd there blatantly. He did try and leave the area. That's what they say. If you've attempted to leave and tried to evacuate the situation,
even if they don't touch him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be touched. And I even learned that in my CCW class. If I'm out and I feel threatened and I have a firearm and someone is threatening me and I'm backing away, I'm saying, leave me alone, I'm retreating, and they continue to come at me, that I can then at that point, if I feel my life is in danger, pull a gun on them. And that's considered self-defense.
Man, that's very loose. I don't know. It's hard for me to immerse myself in this situation just because, like, I think about that. If I'm protecting a business, even one that I owned, to me, my life's not worth the business. The business is insured.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So I wouldn't be there in the first place. Like, because only trouble will come from me carrying a rifle, standing in front of my business. I know better. I'm a little smarter than that. So to me, I'm like, if you destroy my business, whatever, the insurance is going to fix it the next morning, and I'll still be here the next day. You fucking bastards. So, but if I had to go the full 9, if I somehow overlapped that logic and still I was Kyle with my gun and standing there and all that, I'm the kind of calculated guy where, like, even if the law says one thing, I need a little further than that. So, like, for me, I would almost wait for you. If you're the one pursuing me, I would wait for you to hit me. If you hit me once, you're fucking gone.
But I guess
I'm going to blow you away.
But you got to look at it at this, that you have a gun.
Yeah.
These 3 men, it's not just one.
I know.
These 3 men are surrounding you.
Yeah.
Now you have to calculate that risk as, I get hit. I hope that it doesn't knock me out and that they don't get my gun from me and then kill me.
But the thing
is, your life or them. What are you choosing?
The thing is, though, even if it's not hit, if they grab you, something, their DNA is now on your skin. There's no refuting that. That DNA is there. I will record that.
But if you're dead, what does it
everything.
matter? That's what I'm saying. At this point, do you risk your life over there?
I mean, you can keep the gun on them at all times.
Yeah.
You know, like, if they're
that's what he
you,
was doing.
Just kind of walk back and just be like,
apparently,
come on.
Apparently that's what he was doing, is he had it pointed at them to get them to stop, and it didn't. Hey, this is a he said, she said, and I don't want to be the juror or jury on this team, but
there is video.
Yeah, I mean, he was retreating. I did watch the initial video. He was leaving the scene.
Didn't he come back to check, like, and called help for the guy?
He was leaving, and then I'm pretty sure he just asks for help, like, hey, like, these men are chasing me, someone help me, and they continue to pursue. And as they got closer to them is when he turns and points the gun at the guy, hoping to deter him. He doesn't just turn and shoot. He turns, aims the gun.
Did he shoot him in the head?
I don't know.
And I thought there were aspects of this guy to where it was like, I thought there was something like either he was wearing like a Blue Lives Matter hat or something.
That's what I said. He's
fueling the obvious fire. I mean, and that's the thing. When you go to a place with a gun and you have a police hat on there, which is a race protest, you know, you're fueling the fire. So you want trouble to happen to begin with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be there.
That's where a lot of people are saying is he went there to instigate the trouble with hopes of doing that. But I guess I don't know how much of that they look at in the court. I mean, do they look at just the actions of what happened and unfolded? Or
was there intent?
I see. I don't. Can you place intent when he is retreating? That's where I struggle with I struggle with just the retreating and trying to leave before he initiated the firing of the gun. You know, he was leaving these men, and they were pursuing him at this point. I just
don't think that rule is enough because okay, look.
No,
Look, crazy situation.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't know the right answer, honestly.
So let me play one more devil's advocate then. Crazy situation. I'm at a restaurant eating. I drop my card accidentally. I don't realize I dropped my card. I leave the restaurant and all that.
Yeah.
And I see these two men are chasing after me and running after me and all that, you know, trying to flag me down pretty fast. I feel threatened because they're coming after me. Yeah. I have the right to shoot them at that moment. I've left the scene.
I think it's going to be dependent on the situation and eyewitness. Like these guys were obviously threatening him, and it was known he was being threatened.
See, and that's not good enough for me because that's not solid enough.
But what are these guys that are chasing you with your debit card saying to you that you feel threatened?
They're coming after me. I don't have to hear them. I just feel threatened. I see these two men.
Well, that's the whole.
So you wouldn't. That wouldn't fly. That wouldn't fly. They say you have to have proof that your life is being threatened at this point.
So how do I have proof when I'm on the protest field there when they're coming after me that I feel threatened? Because I could just say I feel threatened for them looking at me.
What it's going to come down to in this case is any eyewitnesses, I think, because he said that the men threatened to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to have someone that can corroborate.
Oh, well, if he's got witnesses, then fine. Yeah, that's a different ballgame.
Because he says in his testimony that the man said, "I'm going to kill you." So if that's corroborated, I mean, that in itself is enough to say that it's self-defense. You have someone actually threatening to kill you. Nonetheless, they're pursuing you.
I don't think I would shoot
after
if they were
an altercation.
If they were following me, I wouldn't shoot. If they're lunging at me, you're dead.
Yeah.
You are dead in midair.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what comes of it. I don't know. I had somewhat forgotten about it, honestly, because it's been so long since anything happened. I don't even know where he's been. I don't know if like after being accused, are you held in jail? Or are you like on bond where you can like you're on house arrest and you just have to make sure you show up for court? I don't know how that works, but he testified today. We'll see what happens. To be all honest, I don't even know if we ever had any resolution with Ahmaud Arbery. You know, I know that George Floyd stuff happened and Chauvin was appealing, and then the other officers were being held and they were trying to fight it or something. But there's so much that happened early last year that still is unresolved.
He was released on a bail. He was held,
okay,
but then he was released on a $2 million bail.
Yeah. So you have to just, you can't leave the state.
You're basically on house arrest. Yeah.
And
where do you get that money?
Like
$2 million?
Bill's bondsman.
Yeah, that's true.
Bail
and I watched a show on that all the time on YouTube, Bounty Tank. Check it out.
Yeah.
Right here in
Akron. He needs to come on the show.
I know. I'm trying.
Yeah. You pay a small percentage to the bail bondsman who front you it, and then if you don't
miss court,
if you miss court, then you owe them the full amount plus interest, or they come and beat your ass.
And when you sign up for a bail bondsman, you basically sign your life away. So like, if you miss court, they can kick your door down in the middle of the night just because they know you're not there. They can do it just to fuck with your family and go, well, this is the address he gave, so they can kick your door down.
I've seen some episodes, but I didn't.
Yeah, you basically you borrow the money from them, a loan. And then it's due upon you going to court, and then they get, refunded or whatever for it. So,
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Whoo, boy. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know how quickly this trial unfolds. I mean, it's a murder trial. He testified today. They had adjourned.
Well, what would you do? Would you shoot?
If I truly felt my life was threatened, yeah, I'm shooting over, or I'm taking my life over theirs. Here's the thing, tensions are high there. Again, like you said, I'm not putting myself in that position, but if I'm there and this is unfolding, if I truly feel like if his story is true and he's not trying to just not be found guilty, if this man truly threatened to kill me, it's me and 3 men chasing me and I am alone and I'm being cornered, and I know I have a gun and this man threatened to kill me, and if they get to me that they're going to use my gun against me, I'm shooting first.
Yeah.
I'm not risking dying over the fact that maybe he's going to get to me and just beat me up and walk away. If I have no gun and they're chasing me, okay, I might get my ass beat. I mean, it is what it is at that point. But if I have a gun and there's a possibility they're going to use that against me, I'm sorry, but I'm choosing myself every time.
I think I just worry how the courts would convict me.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks.
Like, that's the biggest thing.
That's a matter of don't put yourself in that position.
This is why I would never do shit. You don't. If you ever hear me accused of anything, just know it's bullshit. Because prison to me, I'd rather kill myself.
No, and I fully agree. Again, I'm just going off of what his situation. I'm shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Would I put myself in that position to begin with? Absolutely not. You know, I'm not going to. I think open carry is stupid. I think at that point you're just asking for attention. It just makes people around you feel uncomfortable. I don't want people to know that I carry a firearm or that I have a gun on me. That's just, I don't know. That's not something you flaunt or that you flash around. I think that, like you said, he's just asking for trouble at that point.
That guy that was walking around Akron.
Yep. Or Kent. Or Kent girl, P girl.
Just walking around with an AR on his back.
That's just to intimidate people. Like, I get you have your Second Amendment rights, but come on, it's not necessary.
It's not. You don't need.
What's the difference between that and a pistol in your pocket? I mean, really, honestly,
that's just a show of like force or like masculinity. Look at me and my big gun. Like, I don't fucking care, bro. You're a douche.
And then when he gets kicked out of a grocery store for carrying a weapon in,
right?
You know,
when there's signs posted,
I'm allowed to. It's my right. Well,
no businesses have the right to not allow you to carry a firearm.
That's why I love those videos. I watch them all the time.
But yeah, in his specific situation, if that's me,
I'd be shooting too.
I'm shooting, just because he's too at risk of something else happening to him. He shouldn't have done it. He was young, unfortunately, and naive, and probably didn't realize what he was getting himself into.
It just looks bad.
It looks bad. And at the end of the day, it's 2 lives ruined. I mean, this other man is dead. His life, whether he's convicted or not, I mean, he's gonna be known for that forever, and it's just a shame. So,
yep.
That's all for the Let's Get Social. Last one we've got is the Jesse Young segment of Locker Room Talk, and Dan is Jesse Young today. So
why can't Jesse just like call in?
We've asked. He said his
the baby's crying.
He said his schedule is just awful, and they haven't been sleeping, and because we did ask him if he wanted to do a Zoom in session, and
that was Jesse.
He heard us talking about him. That was super creepy.
Jesus.
He said that he'd like to, but it's just been chaos at his house. This is his last week, so I'm sure he's probably trying to take it all in before back to work. So, well, yeah, Locker Room Talk with Dan Sandmann.
Swung at right to deep left field. It is. 45-40. Run, William, run. 20, 15.
Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up to the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the.
This is Locker Room Talk.
That little glitch, that one just went out. That one's been out.
That's what I thought. I thought I
that
saw
one's
that
been
flip.
out.
Both of those?
Yeah, 2 of them out. Yeah,
that's some bullshit. Hey guys, friends, fams, listeners.
Hey, this is my segment.
We've got
sports.
Let Locker Room Talk with Jesse Young from Sports Illustrated.
Dan Sandmann, Sports Illustrated.
Jesse just messaged me. That's creepy.
Jesse.
What the fuck is going on?
Super creepy.
I didn't even write a story, and I'm in Sports Illustrated.
You want to know what he said? I just had sex.
Well, tell him to call in. It's like a cigarette after sex. Tell him to call in.
So Locker Room Talk with
video, please.
Locker Room Talk with Dan, the shoe guy, Sandmann. What's going on in sports, bud?
I don't know.
Anything you want to talk about? He said, first time in all caps, months.
Jesus.
Bravo, sir.
We saw how this first movie ended. Okay.
Okay. So anyways, Locker Room Talk. We got a couple things for you guys.
What, Victory Thursday for him?
Wow.
At least he gets to say it one time this year.
Hey. First story I got on our segment for Locker Room Talk. I can't think of the name. Chris, please save me or someone. I think it was the Raiders player, the 22-year-old.
Henry Ruggs.
So Henry Ruggs, another awful story. Last week, DUI accident.
This fucking guy
going 150 something miles per hour in his brand new Corvette.
See the video?
Yeah.
Holy mac! Wow.
In Vegas, I think he rear-ended or T-boned an SUV, killed the woman and her dog.
150.
like pretty much on the spot. She was, I think, young like him. Come on.
150 miles per hour.
Sad. Again, first round draft pick, I think.
Yeah,
2 years
he was
earlier.
their 6th pick. Yeah.
His first round draft pick, 22 years old. You know, you work to be in the NFL, which I don't know what the percentage of people that make it to the NFL is.
Very
It's
low.
small.
Less than 5.
You know, ultimately you got your whole life ahead of you, and then you do something this fucking stupid, and now you're being charged with vehicular manslaughter or DUI resulting in death.
Yeah.
I saw something where the attorney for him saying that he's going to do everything in his power to withhold medical documents or something, which I thought was kind of weird. I don't know what that's all about.
That ain't got any bearing whatsoever on this shit,
No.
man. He was drunk and he fucked himself.
Yeah.
150 miles an hour.
Yes.
That's sick, man.
So like Dan was saying in the video, what's even crazier about this too is that like the Raiders have a team concept, like to where they have, you know, designated drivers for this kind of things because they live in Las Vegas. So like obviously partying is kind of a plague with that team.
Yeah.
So they have a program where like they have designated drivers who like you call them, they'll pick them up.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to pay anything. It's all funded by the team themselves. What are you doing, man?
We did that with our fraternity. Is we had sober driver.
You were in a frat? I didn't know that.
Fraternity. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So if you're drinking, no matter what, you don't drive. You
Mhm.
call that sober driver, and they were assigned. Each brother had a weekend, and if they needed you, you were called. You had to go. If it was 11 o'clock at night, if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, didn't matter.
You're like the rookie of the year receiver, dude. What are you doing?
That's my
Use
thing
your
is like you got these
brain.
people that
Come on.
literally have everything, man. Like you've just gotten like a fucking baller deal, all the money in the world. There wasn't someone you could have called.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I mean,
there
why
was.
do you put
There was.
yourself
They got a program
in these positions that you do that, you know, that you just throw away your life? Like, I mean, his life's ruined. He's either going to do life. I think they said 20 years, maybe he can do up to 20 years.
Yeah.
So you're 42 by the time you get out, your career's over.
Yeah, he's too old.
Any money you had, I'm sure you're getting sued for, and it's gone. You know, like it's just fucking awful. It's terrible for this young woman whose life was lost. And then you got his life ruined as well.
Yeah.
You know,
And I don't,
That poor dog.
and the fucking dog, man.
and I get with their quarterback, Derek Carr. He's like trying to be there and be for, you know, there for his friend and his former teammate and all that. But to me, I'm like, dude, it was Ruggs' decision to do this. I'm like, there's no innocent victimize here.
No.
Like he fucking made the decision to do that. Let that guy go through his own punishment.
You think
that's the way I feel.
What do you think? What do you think outcome is? Based on money, his age, you think he gets
9
highest to the charge that they're gonna accessible to him?
I
or?
do, because 9 times out of 10, I would say the football player would probably pad some of that punishment, you know, because football players get away with a lot of shit. But the videos there, the documented speed, the alcohol level where he was nearly 3 times over the legal limit, like, and the murder. I mean, had he just hurt a woman, like she'd been in a wreck and she somehow survived miraculously or something like that, he'd probably get a couple years, but I don't think anything that would ruin his career.
Right.
But the fact that she's dead, they're coming for him, dude. Like, it's going to be the highest extent of the law possible. His career's over without question.
Yep.
And it's a tragic story, because you have stories like in basketball. Anybody who's a big sports fan knows the Len Bias story of the Boston Celtics, who, you know, was thought of as the next Michael Jordan in 1986, you know, goes out one night with friends, has some pills, collapses in a hotel room, and, you know, never makes it one game to the NBA, even though he was just drafted by the Boston Celtics, his dream team.
It's awful, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just based on all the parameters involved. I mean, like you said, the death for one, and then, I mean, it's just pure negligence. I mean, that's just excessive speed. It's just ignorant at that point.
Is that what you think he's going to get punished high extent?
I think I mean, I think they're going to give him whatever they can. You know, I don't think they go easy on him at this point. I don't think we get the sad tale of, you know, young kid didn't know better type thing at this point. I mean, this was far and beyond. It wasn't, you know, I had one drink over my limit or something and I got a DUI or whatever, and we let you off easy. This is far beyond that. And it's just, it's sad. I mean, it's just sad. I just hate to see this type of thing happen to anybody. Life is just too precious, man. And we've talked about this so many times on the show, where I just don't think that people really understand the depth of that. You know, the whole like
frailty,
the whole one life. Like, this is it. This is your only one go around. Don't throw it away over the stupidest fucking shit.
That's my thing. If I was a pro football player and I made it this far, man, to me, I'm like, if people ask me to even go out and have drinks, I'd be like,
I'm good.
I don't know, man. I'll probably just hang out here and play Monopoly or something, man. You know, like
Monopoly with your hundreds that you got from your fucking signing bonus.
You guys go ahead. I'll make a TikTok video or something.
Hey, is that a jab at Juju?
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I'd rather fucking do that than go out and ruin my life.
No, I get it.
I got beer here at the house. Fuck you.
It's tough. I mean, I get it. Not taking away from what he did, but I mean, you're a young guy. You're signed. You got a bunch of money. These people do this. These young people that make these stupid mistakes, whether they just don't have a good role model or they don't know better, and then this type of shit happens. You know, it's like you got to surround yourself with better people. I don't know who he was out with that night. Yeah, he wasn't out alone. Someone should have fucking known better.
He was actually, I was going to say that too. He was out with a Raiders lineman too. And I think about that. I'm like, what if that guy had like went with him?
Right.
Like just goes like, hey man, I got my keys in my car and all that. And he goes,
He's
oh yeah, we'll
too.
take your car. Man,
he's fucked too though. At that point, you're held. If you're a passenger in a vehicle, at least I think in Ohio, if you're a passenger in a vehicle of someone who's under you're held for DUI as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're equal party, equal responsible at that point. So
it's crazy because like this is going to have, you know, obviously football is not important in the grand scheme of things, but this it's going to have a lasting effect. Anytime you have a tragedy like this,
of course,
the Raiders aren't going to be the same after this. And they were a first place ball club. And like now they had a big gap before Ruggs. That's why they drafted him. They had no designated number one wide receiver. So they drafted him thinking he was the guy of the future for them. And he was great at Alabama, killed it out there. And now you have that big hole that was there to begin with.
What type of protocol do you think the Raiders implement for something like this going forward? You know, do you think they change the player rules as far as being
zero
out or
alcohol
anything?
tolerance?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that they implement something because you know that they're going to be held. They're going to have some accountability in it. He's going to be held accountable.
That's a good question.
You know, I wonder what the change.
I don't know that they'll be held accountable for it. That was a personal decision.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they
have the program.
I was gonna say the fact that they have that in place for him to use, and he chose not to use that.
Yeah.
That almost gets them off the hook.
That's what I would say. I don't blame the Raiders really for this. I blame it's one party and one party alone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And maybe
they already
that
had
lineman
that program implemented.
Pulling those keys from him and
that's my thing. It's like whoever
that.
he was out with, I wonder if they try and, you know, at that point, like he wasn't alone.
Yeah.
You know, who was with him? Who let him drive?
Who let him drink that much for one?
Didn't he go with a girl or was he alone?
I don't know. I don't know the backstory.
I thought he went with
prior
a girl.
to.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. As fast as he went and as fast as he hit, how did he survive?
Bro.
Seatbelts, but still, man.
What was he in?
Kudos
what was he driving?
Kudos to Corvette.
He was in a Corvette, yeah.
Brand new Corvette.
Which isn't like, that's a compact.
His car looked fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, Corvettes, like while they're wide, they're small and compact on the top. So like any kind of hit, you're getting weighed down.
There's some serious safety ratings, man.
You got to,
that's wild.
Well, they probably stiffen up that, or not stiffen, but they probably a really big, what's it? Impact zone crunch.
Yeah.
What's it called? Crumple zone.
Yeah.
Because the engine's
in the
back.
Oh,
it's mid-engine.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. Yeah. So, I mean, that might have been what saved him.
So what's the front? The front's trunk then?
Yep.
That's thought of as trunk. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, but his whole front end was flat. I mean, his car was fucked. They both looked like they were engulfed in flames. I think they both caught fire.
Yeah. I mean,
Awful.
I've seen, so the worst accident I ever saw was getting off the freeway from work. It was a few years ago and we're at a stoplight right underneath the bridge by my house. And right next to it is a corresponding street that's obviously on green when we're on red. And what happens is the guy that's in front of me runs the light. Okay. Like it just turned red for him. right out of nowhere, dude, this car comes right speeding by. The car cuts in half.
Jesus, man.
And this guy couldn't have been going more than maybe 40, 45 miles per hour hitting him, which is over the speed of that.
So the car in front of you got cut in half?
Yeah. Yeah. So like, cause he decided to run the red light and that guy, his light was already on green. So he was on go, speeding a little bit too. I will say he was no innocent party in that, but at the same time, that dude ran the light and cut him right in half. I didn't stay to find out what happened, but I just saw, I've never seen a car get split in half like that.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that kind of stuff just makes me queasy. But Ruggs, I mean, another
Life's over.
Just sad story, man. Controversy or bad things going on in the NFL. We're gonna transfer over to Rodgers. So Kyle Wick, wow. John Wick got COVID.
Kyle Wick.
Baba Raba.
So Rodgers was positive for COVID a week ago. He missed last week's game.
Yeah. No. This coming week. He was playing last week's game. It was right after that. Monday is when they discovered.
When did they just lost?
Oh, wait, you're right. Yeah, he didn't play in that one because Jordan Love did.
Yeah.
They
took
their
their first loss in like 7 games or something.
You're right. Yeah.
So Rodgers, so here's the thing with this story is Rodgers apparently misled. I didn't follow his vaccination or non-vaccination, but he was asked at one point beginning of the season or earlier on if he was vaccinated, and he responded with, "I am immunized."
Yeah.
You know, I'm whatever.
Immunized.
He basically alluded to that he was vaccinated when he wasn't. And he recently got COVID. He got fined. The Packers got fined $300,000 for
he got 14,600.
Yeah. So both of them got fined for failing to follow protocol. My big thing with this story was though, he came out and he voiced an apology, but kind of stood behind his take on it, which again, I've always been, I respect whatever your opinion is. I'm not here to force anybody to do anything. But he's sponsored by State Farm.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I might be on the minority, but I honestly really respected the fact that they came out and they said, you know what? We support him. I respect that he is an individual with his own opinions, and we here at State Farm respect that. And here's the reason why I respect their decision, because it wasn't long ago we on the show talked about corporations getting canceled or corporations kind of taking the heat of people and not sticking up for what they really believed in and just turning over because of the heat coming to them. And we said, if more companies were willing to stick up and say, no, you know what, we're not going to just allow this to continue. We're not going to, well, I'm trying to think what the story was to use in an example, but basically we were talking about just companies taking a stand against people and not rolling over, because it just continues to happen.
We're not going to throw our guy to the fire,
Right. And I guess my thing is, I just respect the fact that they came out and said, you know what, we're not going to cancel him. We're not going to cut ties with him because of his thoughts on this. Like, that's his right. Yep. What are your guys', I'm going to try and think about the example I'm thinking of, but what are your guys' opinions on this?
I have 2 thought processes of this. You kind of alluded to one. I support what State Farm did as far as supporting him, because to me, honestly, what he did is not that bad. And I'm the number 1 Aaron Rodgers hater. I hate him more than anybody in the NFL. But like, to me, what he did wasn't really, I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, if he's caught with, like, I don't know, a fucking teenager, or he's caught, making racist derogatory marks, fine, State Farm fucking dump him or whatever.
Right.
I can understand that.
For sure.
This really wasn't that big of a deal to me. I mean, if anything, he's just a liar.
He was misleading. He didn't say,
yeah,
I've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
He used the words in a way to mislead that he was safe from COVID, which, okay, he was in the wrong.
Which is my second point. He's a liar.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Here's the thing. If somebody asks you if you're immunized or whatever they said vaccinated, just say, no, I'm not vaccinated.
Right.
Whatever. Like that's the end of the story.
At the same time, it's his choice to tell them. Like, again, it goes back to your medical records and all that stuff. If I don't want to tell you that I'm vaccinated,
But does it look good that he was caught lying now? And because he gave an answer. He did give an answer.
Right.
And here's the only thing to your point is that I think you kind of have to, because it's NFL protocol that you have to be. You have to be vaccinated, don't you? Yeah. So, I mean,
do?
Isn't that why the Packers got fined?
I don't think you have to be vaccinated. I think you just have to show those negative tests though. Like
right.
you have to show multiple
they're still
negative tests a week. It's like 4 times a week for them though. It's like really, if you don't get it, it's like very strenuous.
Okay, then you're
Dan's right on that.
Then
So I mean, yeah,
but shouldn't he have just not acknowledged it?
Exactly.
Just say like,
He
okay,
shouldn't
next
have
question
said-
or something like
he
that.
shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
But I'm with you both on standing by State Farm, and I think that was really great what they did because he's a spokesperson for them. They don't force their employees or their employees' families to get vaccinated. So, you know, they said they want our employees to have the choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're here for. We're Americans. You can get it or you can't. And they stand behind all their employees.
Yep.
And they're standing behind him. And I think that's great of them to not just dump them because they're in the public's eye.
I mean, it's tough because it's like, look, if you were a company in the NFL that said, look, everybody has to get vaccinated or else, like that it's our way or the highway, whatever, you'd have a different argument altogether. It's like, well, you got to get vaccinated or you're not playing.
I'm about to call Jake and
you gonna sign up for State Farm?
Get the Dan
Jake from State Farm.
The Dan
plan.
That dude's got a big tub of cheese. That one commercial, Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, I don't really care one way or another about Rodgers, like you said, Chris. It's not to me. It's not a big deal. But I respect
still my choice for MVP this year. Didn't we
Rodgers
talk about that preseason? Give our MVP votes.
I think we both agreed that he was going to be. He's still in the running, man. He's still playing great.
He's not my pick, but
he's going to be. He has till Saturday to be cleared to still play on Sunday. I think he comes back strong.
Because the thing is, they nearly won that game even without him. I know they were down most of it, but they only lost 13-7.
Yeah.
Jordan Love looked like shit.
Oh, he's definitely not the next. I just look at people like Lamar Jackson, or I'm not playing favorites here, but Dak Prescott. Without him, I know the Cowboys won without him. They got fucking severely lucky, as we saw this week too.
Yeah. But yeah, respect. I respect their stance. You know, I think especially with the level of like canceling people and stuff now, that it was nice to see them stand up and say no. Like, we're not going to do that with him. So
I think his stance on like the fertility studies, I thought that, did you see his response? The reason why he hasn't gotten vaccinated?
No,
he actually explained it. It's because he wants to expand the family.
Yeah.
And
not sure the effects on fertility. Yeah. He said in his interview that he did his own study and it wasn't just from listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. Because apparently he's like a big Joe Rogan fan, and he does a weekly podcast. Did you know that?
Aaron Rodgers does.
Yeah, he has a podcast he's on every week.
That's great.
And that he was talking about this on there, and he said that he doesn't get all of his information from Joe Rogan's podcast, and he did his own
research.
I thought it was funny.
How does he do a podcast? He doesn't have a personality.
I don't know. I saw the interview I was reading was quotes from the podcast that he's on weekly. Yeah, he's not anything overly exciting when it comes to personality. That's for sure.
I hope the Steelers get him next year.
Dude, I'd be all for it. Speaking of the Steelers, I don't know how we won.
I could tell you how.
But we won. It was the pinstripes.
But yeah,
nope.
That was
the refs. Nope. I don't think so either. I'm on Chris's side. I think there's some.
There was some missed calls, but there was also
yes. So
because you don't leave it in the refs' hands anyway.
Right.
Here's so we had Browns not Browns. We had the Steelers game this weekend, and the hot take, and here's the thing. The only people that were talking about this were the Browns. Hate me, whatever. If you're a Browns fan, I don't fucking care. Every single person that was complaining was a Browns fan.
There's a shocker.
The only people commenting about the Steelers winning because of the refs on Monday were Browns fans. I didn't see anybody else talking about it. That's it.
Here's the only thing I'll say. It's a bullshit call, but it didn't cost them the game.
So the phantom low block, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you watched the replay. He didn't hit him, but he went low.
Yeah.
He went low, but they called it on intention as far as his helmet, though. And his helmet wasn't intended. If you look at his helmet, his head's up when he's hitting the whole time.
So what would that have made it?
And then we're talking the second call.
Still was a penalty.
If they would have,
they called it roughing the passer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some questionable calls that could have led to a difference in winning.
On the low block.
We are talking the quarterback hit though, right? The
No.
one with like 4 minutes left in the game or whatever.
No, it's a touchdown play.
It would have resulted in them scoring.
Oh no, I'm not talking about
Yeah,
that.
it
That
would have
was-
resulted in them
That was the
scoring.
low block
Oh, okay.
that happened. But the defensive player did not get knocked down, but he was affected
Okay.
by the low block, and that was a 15-yard penalty or 10-yard penalty, pulling the touchdown
Yeah.
off the board.
hmm
So and then they settle for a field goal.
Yeah.
Well, and then there was the other one with the taunting.
Yeah.
Where they said the taunting or whatever. And I'm like, yep, that's just more of the no fun league. But then after that, right after, the ref hip checks him, sticks his
The
hip,
ref definitely hip checks.
sticks his hip out
But did you see he was pulling his flag? He reached for the flag
long before. That's what I'm saying. It's a bullshit call for sure.
So if I'm that
Wait,
ref,
you think that the taunting shouldn't have happened?
No, it's a fucking
Oh,
dude.
I agree with the taunting call.
It's such bullshit, dude. It's this league, like they raise a big deal anytime anybody's having fun.
but
Fucking
at
let
the
it
same
go.
time, even if that taunting play, like it gave the Steelers
Yeah.
a first down, and
Here's
they
my
ended up punting away anyway.
Yeah.
That drive.
here's my
So it
thing.
didn't really affect the game.
The taunting call
Took
happened.
some time off.
I have two mistakes I'll get to in a
The
second.
taunting call happened after a sack, a fucking karate kick chop to the air, and then immediately walking towards our sideline. That can be considered taunting. The flag was coming on his return back. He was already pulling the flag to call for taunting before he hip checked him.
Can I ask you something? What's the problem with taunting? In the
I'm
first
not
place?
saying I'm not saying I'm against it,
right,
but
There's-
it's a
there's
rule in the
certain
league.
levels.
right, but
It's a rule in the league.
But why? Why is taunting a problem?
I
If
don't-
it holds up the game, I would say that's one thing.
Yeah.
But he's doing it
But-
right after he scores or right after he makes a
It's
play.
just the same as fucking them taking away end zone celebrating. Look, it's a
I don't
sport.
agree with that either.
It's supposed to be a fun game. Who fucking cares?
Yep.
You're not harming
So,
anybody.
The one thing that I don't like is after an interception, they run down the field to the end zone and celebrate as a group in the end zone. I don't like that
yeah.
because, like, if you're gonna celebrate right there.
Well, that's delaying the game though.
Exactly.
That's a whole different.
And there's
ball of
I've
wax.
seen it where it's an interception
Yeah.
on like the 5-yard line on the opponent's side of the field. They take it 95 yards back, and the whole team is running to the end zone and celebrating.
So at that point, I'm saying charge them with delay a game.
That's what I would
don't
say.
care about the end zone celebrating. Look, if you want to celebrate, cool.
Taunting is such a stupid rule.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm cool if it's like delay a game, but
But
if
it's
he's
a
just sitting
rule.
there going like that, like fucking just let it go, dude. He's happy he made a play. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. So to your point, I don't care about the taunting, but it is a rule, and I think that the call was justifiable based on his actions.
Mhm.
Because again, ref was pulling the flag before the
He
flag was coming
pull-
out after he already did the taunting, and the player was returning to his side of the field, and that's when the hip check happened. The ref's in the wrong by all means. If the
ref
player did that,
hadn't thrown the flag. Like
He had
he was
He
reaching.
was ready.
He-
Like
he
it was like
grabbed it, but
premeditated.
there was no pull until after the hip check.
yeah,
But
I mean,
the hip check wasn't.
he was already in process of
He was.
He was.
You could
he was
see.
reaching. He was watching.
the
and he
call
grabbed-
wasn't because of it. He didn't call it because he got hip checked.
No.
Hip check was on the ref. The ref's in the wrong.
Yeah.
The ref is absolutely in the wrong.
And that's
If
Tony
that was a
Corinthian, who's
player,
one of the best ones they have.
yeah, the player, you're fined, you're kicked out of the game if you do that. So he's every bit in the wrong.
Yeah.
But I also think that the call was justifiable. Do I agree with the taunting? No. But I think the player knew what he was doing.
I just
You
think
know.
taunting is a rule that shouldn't be even in the game at all.
I agree.
Like,
I
because when an
totally
NBA
agree.
player scores and they, dunk on somebody and they
Yeah.
go like this or something like that, they don't fucking
As long
penalize
as you
them
don't,
for.
I think as long as you don't touch the player, or
No.
as long as you're not anything aggressive, where
That's
like you're in the
contact,
player's
though.
face,
That's contact.
then I don't care.
That's a rule by itself.
yeah.
So I think what set that up was the fact that Harvin was coming out, the punter
the kicker was coming towards
was coming
him.
towards him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even as he was backpedaling, the ref didn't see if his
Yeah.
mouth was moving or if he was doing anything. He was looking at the guy's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he based that call
He based it on
essentially
that-
off an assumption that he might have been taunting
He based it on the actions
the punter
beforehand.
or in the sideline.
Beforehand, though, he came immediately off that play, like hyped up, and then walked towards our side. There's no reason he should have walked towards the Steelers side,
Yeah.
regardless if you could see his mouth or not. There was no reason for him to come towards the Steelers.
I'm just saying
sideline.
it didn't help the case
Yeah,
for
well,
taunting.
for people to fight against it. Yeah, I get you. I agree.
but yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to
Chris.
tell you two reasons why the Bears never stood a chance of winning this game
Because they suck.
to begin
It's
with.
the Bears.
So when the Bears are down, I believe it's 26-20. The Steelers are still leading. There's like a minute and a half left in the ball game, 2 minutes left in the game. They take it down the field. They score the touchdown. The Bears go up by 1 point, 27-26 at that point. There is 1 minute and 36 seconds left on the clock. What did I say in week 1 after the Cowboys took the lead over the Buccaneers? I said, if you give Tom Brady 1 second down 40 points, he'll find a way to score 41.
Yep.
You don't fucking give them that much time. Now, the play that they'd scored on was a long bomb. I think it was a 26-yard catch or whatever. To me, what that happened, as dumb as it sounds, make the catch, go down at the 2-yard line. That's what I would do. Now, I have faith in our offense that we're going to get 2 yards in a minute and a half. If we don't deserve to win this game to begin with.
Yep.
I'm wasting more clock. The Steelers can have the ball back when there's like 5 seconds left on the clock.
I think Steelers were either down to 1 timeout or had no timeouts left.
They had 1 timeout.
Yeah.
They had 1 timeout. So my second problem now is with the Bears is when they're on that possession, that very same possession that or no, it was the Steelers possession where they were driving up the field to try to get the field goal to take the lead. They waste their only timeout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they know they're going to get the ball back because there's still 20 seconds left when the Steelers attempt the kick. So they know they're going to get the ball for 20 seconds. Those 20 seconds, they actually drove down the field pretty believably enough. Like they got, I think, to the 45 or 46 yard line.
Yeah, it was a 60. What was it?
65, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Which is close to an NFL record, not quite one. And he almost damn near made it too.
I thought it hit off the crossbar.
It did hit off the crossbar,
no,
but
it was way short.
They said initially they thought it did, but from the other angle it didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it hit, but then it went down like that.
Everyone thought.
That's what I thought too, because I sent my button. Sam is he's a friend of mine. He's a Bears fan. And I'm like, whew, that was close.
Yeah, bro.
And I thought, and then they showed a little bit of a different angle of it, and it barely hit the front of the end zone.
Okay, but it was right down the middle though.
It was,
like if he was 2 yards closer, that thing's in.
It was a clean kick, man. That's a far kick. And I was like, fuck.
He stutter step too going into it.
Yeah.
So the intention is obviously to call it, like for the Steeler kick, it's to call a timeout to ice the kicker. That's always been the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That's a chip shot for Boswell. Okay. What were they at the 20-yard line or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm
it was
like
32, 36 yard line.
There's no fucking ice. I can make that kick.
54 and a 52
Yeah.
yard.
There's no icing that guy. Keep your time out for when you're getting the ball back. You're going to have 20 seconds. You're going to need all the time you can get. So they take that time out. They keep that time out. They can afford themselves another play when they're on that 46-yard line. They could get maybe 5-10 yards closer, kick the kick, win the game, beat the Steelers. You're stupid.
Well, imagine that you're not a Browns fan and you actually can see past the fact that the game wasn't lost because of the refs.
No, it was lost because the Bears coaching is stupid.
I will say that the Bears, like the defense and even some of their offensive, they made adjustments throughout that game.
Yeah, look how well we played, and then look how awful we played.
Second half.
First quarter was like the best I've seen the Steelers play, and then they disappeared.
Yeah.
I texted Dan, I was like, where the fuck's this team been all year?
Yeah.
But then, Dan said, they fucking switched shit up and they came back with a vengeance.
Second half.
The Bears came back and they were, what was that guy's name? Malay?
Yeah.
Bench him.
I know you're talking
Get him
about.
off the team. They were attacking him left and right, and he was getting burned every single time. The long pass play to the right, Millette was the defender.
Yeah.
The touchdown catch,
He was open too.
Millette
Yeah.
missed his assignment. It's like, get that guy. He's got to go.
Yeah. I don't know if he's just too slow because I don't think he's an aging vet, is he?
I think, I don't know.
I don't know if it's just he's too slow or he's just, I don't know. He's not cut for the position. Something about that. They were leaving them open entirely too much that game. It's fine to get burned once, but that many times is ridiculous.
Look, it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great game for refs. It wasn't a great game for calls. I'm not okay with admitting that, but we won the game end of the day. And here, you know what? And here's, I was saying, at the end of the day, if we won the game because ref blatantly made a shitty call, that's not the Steelers' job.
Right.
Their job to go out there and play. They're not going to say, oh, that was, you know what? No, take that call back. You were in the wrong. They're out there to fucking play the game. The refs are out there to fucking call the game. That's their job. If you want to piss and cry about it like a Browns fan, take it up with the NFL.
I think you did the right thing on one of your comments.
It's like
somebody commented yours, and I think they said something along the lines of like, "Yeah, thanks to the refs," and you go, "Yep, thanks to those boys in the pinstripes." I would antagonize too. I'd be like, "Yep, they're the reason, and we love every minute of it."
Bro, I will fucking rile the Browns fans up all day long.
Get them so pissed
because they get so fucking butthurt. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yep.
We fucking won. I'm sorry if the refs suck at their job. That's not the Steelers' fault.
Yep.
Sorry.
Arthur Millet's fifth year.
5th year, so he's not that aging
or
though.
6th year.
He's just
No.
getting burned. He just shouldn't be on that position.
No, he was getting tripped up. He was getting turned around. It just smoked.
You shouldn't be getting that outran at that early in your career.
Granted,
but-
the Bears aren't that great of a team. Like we should have been able to beat them anyways. But
I will say, and I told this to Sam too, is I am not, after the scores and the way the favorites fell on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not confident in us being the favorite in this game.
Yeah, it's almost it's a
wasn't
curse that day.
on the Bears game,
Yeah.
I didn't have any like high expectations.
I see what he's saying, because the Bills lost to the Jaguars, the Cowboys lost to the Broncos.
Yeah.
It was happening all damn day.
The Browns lost or beat the
Bengals.
The Bungles.
Yep.
Yeah,
They look like crap.
No, I
too.
agree. It's kind of been.
I don't think they're the real deal. I think people are going to start finally
The
seeing
Bengals?
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like the Steelers after their 11-0 start last year. To be
Uh-huh.
honest with you,
I mean, yeah, I don't really want to say that, but yeah,
I that's just the way
It is what it is.
I
Any
mean-
given Sunday, man.
they just weren't a tough team, like when it came down to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of shit happening that week. It was a crazy week. You know, you ask yourself, here's a side question: who the favorite in the AFC really is? Right now, it looks like it might be Tennessee, even without their MVP Derrick Henry behind them, running behind them.
Tight ends are balling out, man.
But it's like, how can you put that team as the favorite? They don't have their signature running back. I know they look good against the Rams, but like this can't last forever.
I don't know, man. They're a composed team. Their pickup wasn't bad. I think that they're going to be.
AP.
Yeah, I think they're in a good
ran
place.
good, got a touchdown.
Yeah. Honestly, see them going well. Bo's probably fucking loving it.
Yeah. Why not?
Our division is a fucking mess. I mean, at this point, it's anyone's fucking division.
It really is.
I mean, the
Baltimore's
Bengals
back on
are
top.
dropping. Baltimore's up. The Steelers fucking moved to second.
Yep.
Like, I mean, this has been flip flopping. The Browns went to fourth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
Third.
fucking.
Third. Well,
I think they're
everywhere.
third because they won now. They were
Well,
fourth. Yeah.
It's all over the place. You know, honestly, I see our division going anywhere. There's a lot of season left.
Very interchangeable there. A lot of teams can beat a lot of teams there.
Yeah, I'm thinking. My predictions: Ravens finish out number one.
Mine too.
And then it will probably be Steelers
I mean,
or Browns. I think Bengals are going to drop to
Steelers will
third.
get a wild card. I'm
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think
So-
so. We're not making it without the wild card.
no.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because what's a testament. This is why I think Lamar Jackson's my MVP pick, because no team has been riddled by injuries as much as the Baltimore Ravens this year, and they're still that good.
Isn't he 3-0 coming back from a 20-point deficit, or 3-1
Yeah,
coming back from a 20-point deficit?
I heard
Who's
that
that?
stat this morning too.
Holy
Lamar Jackson.
mackerel.
Yeah, he's 3-1 when
Lamar
the Ravens are
Jackson,
down
huh?
20. Yeah,
Oh, that guy.
sucks.
You can't pass though.
Yeah, but yeah,
It sucks.
it's like Buffalo
I gotta be
doesn't look,
Jesse.
Buffalo doesn't look good. They're the favorites by a lot of people.
Bro, I had them going to the Super Bowl.
They looked awful
I
on
think
Sunday.
New England might win that division.
New England's
Bro.
and they got the Browns on Sunday, so it's gonna be an interesting game.
Please win.
Patty's Brownies.
So we've got the Lions.
We've got a tough. Our
If you don't beat the fucking Lions,
we have about I have us winning 3 of our next games for sure, and the others are all toss-ups. There's
Yeah.
some tough games the second half.
you better
of the
beat the
season.
Lions.
Yeah, there's some really tough stuff, man.
Sorry to our longtime listener Chris Stewart, but you better beat the fucking
no,
Lions.
bro, for sure. But I think honestly, the Browns and Steelers both have a pretty toss-up second half.
Yeah.
Like there's some tough games left in the season.
Could come down to that game you play each other.
So we talked about Steelers. I'm pumped they win. You know, we're 4 in a row at this point as far as wins goes. So we had the Browns game as well on Sunday. They win after
Pretty dominating.
OBJ's departure. Possibility of him maybe going to New England or the Bucks or Buccaneers, not New England.
cleared
Buccaneers.
waivers, so he can go wherever the hell
Yeah,
he
he
wants.
cleared. He's free agent.
They look better without OBJ.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, there had to be a genius that called that.
So here's my thing, and this is kind of contradicting myself, but I was just thinking about it on Sunday, and part of it was probably just to rile Browns fans up. But me and you've been saying from the start, get rid of OBJ
Since he got injured last year.
Yeah, absolutely, and I still stand behind that. But then I started thinking about Sunday and how different they played, and I'm like, great, OBJ's gone, but he's barely played anyways. Do you really blame or do you really put the success of this game on OBJ being gone? Did one man really have that much stronghold over this organization that they were faltering just from him being on that team?
Go ahead.
You know,
Mine's a long one.
Here's the thing. I get the mental capacity that can have, you know, the way that the team meshes together or disorganization, the stress it puts on one I've talked about with Baker, him feeling obligated to throw this guy. There's a lot of tension there. I can see how that affects the team. But Sunday was wild. I mean, they came out and played fucking crazy.
Fearless is the way I would put it.
Yeah, bro. Like I can't put that all on OBJ.
Chubb had a 70-yard run.
Yes.
Yeah, who's going to possibly be out, right?
He is out. He has COVID. He's out this week. Dearness Johnson is going to be the starting back, and they don't have a backup running back right now.
Hopefully, Chubb eats some of his cereal. Maybe he'll feel better.
They said Hunt might come back, but he's not ready.
Jones had the 60-yard pass catch,
and I've been raving about that guy for over a year now. I said he is their number 2 receiver behind Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
he might be the number 1 now because Jarvis can't catch.
Yeah, he had a rough game last week. So yeah, Browns come out, they dominate. OBJ's gone. He's moving on at this point. What do you guys think at this point? I mean, here's the deal. The whole topic of conversation has been he's been holding them back. So they have to shine out. They've got to come out and prove themselves. They played phenomenal. Can't put it all on Baker. The team they played great. Who wants to go first? I know Chris is chomping at the bit.
I don't think you put it all on OBJ. I mean, he wasn't the best for that locker room. They said that he was keeping to himself. He didn't really provide a lot of insight, a lot of support. He was frustrated. He wanted out. He's wanted out. I think he's wanted out of there for the last year.
Yeah. Which is weird because he's vocalized that he didn't. He's vocalized that he's like, I want to be here. I want to be here for the long haul. I want to make this work. But I agree with you. I think he's
wanted out. He's whispered in the ears of other
sidelines and things.
But they played a great game.
Yeah.
It was the Bengals. I was expecting the Bengals to come out and do what they did to Baltimore.
41-16.
But the defense, I mean, you got to give it up to the Browns defense. That is one tough. I mean, you got Clowney on one side, you got Garrett on the other side. Both are crazy athletes getting to the quarterback. I don't know how you can pass on them.
And it's strange because their defense has these days where they look really remarkable like they did on Sunday, but then they have these days where you question if really a lot of growth has happened within this defense. Because there's certainly been games, Jesse will be the first one that tells you this, the defense lost us that game a couple times during this season.
Yeah, but you can't say OBJ not being there made that defense play better.
Let me try. So anyway,
let me hold my beer.
Let me try.
So here's the thing. I look at the framing of that question. Do I blame OBJ for, the increase, the better play for the Browns this week? Not all the way, at least not advertently. Inadvertently, absolutely. Here's why.
Weight lift.
Huh?
There's a weight lifted.
It's a big weight lifted. Yeah. So the Browns are a good team because they have a lot of homegrown talent. They have grown a lot of talent in their system. For the first time ever, they have allowed chemistry to dictate their fates. It's not, we're going to get a new quarterback every 2 years. We're going to shuffle out a wide receiver here and there. No, these are very much the core, the same core guys that have been here for 3 years. That's why they're getting better, because they're learning to play together for the first time ever. What happens when you incorporate a superstar diva into that predicament?
Oh, he's not a diva.
He's a very big diva.
OBJ?
In the Giants, he's a huge
I've
diva.
been saying that forever, and everyone's like, he's not a diva. That's overplayed.
I know.
I was going to say that better be sarcasm. This is the same guy who whined about saying, throw the ball to me. And that's the same reason he's now soured in Cleveland. He doesn't work well in the system. And I'm not just saying OBJ. Let's look at like Cowboys. Let's say Amari Cooper, goes to the Browns, gets traded to the Browns tomorrow. Not good for their system. I would tell you that right off the bat. He's a superstar receiver. It doesn't look good for their system. That would be the first thing I'd say. And I'd be sounding like an idiot. They'd call me the same idiot that I did when I said that a year ago, that OBJ getting injured was a blessing to them. So anyway, this a superstar diva, when you're trying to incorporate, when you're trying to accommodate to him, whether it be 5 catches a game, 7 catches a game, whatever it is, you're incorporating him into the playbook. Therefore, you're taking away from Peoples-Jones. You're taking away from Jarvis Landry. You're taking away from anybody at any time. Less runs by Chubb, for instance. This condenses their stats a lot more. So now you're trying to accommodate to an option that, let's be honest, Baker cannot really throw that deep to begin with. I've never been that impressed with Baker's long ball, which is another part of this. If they ran Odell in the slant option, like, close out, maybe, wide out to the corner there, I guarantee you he'd be one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL still.
But he's a speedy guy, and he wants the
deep route.
Yep.
He wants the deep route, and Baker cannot always accommodate that. I don't care if Jesse agrees with that or not. That is the reality.
Well, Jesse's not here, so
and that's what hurts their chemistry. So, and when you do that, that chemistry rubs off on the rest of the team, because they look at, well, he's trying to play favorites. He's trying to get Odell involved into the playbook more and all that. When I feel like, hey, me, Jarvis Landry, I'm right here. I've been wide open 10 plays now, and you've thrown it to me one time. So it takes away from other relationships.
Well, that's OBJ's stance right now is that Steelers Browns game. He was targeted twice. One was a penalty, made the catch for 6 yards. Meanwhile, Jarvis Landry is dropping passes that are right to his chest. But
here's the thing, Odell, we've got a whole video of fucking drop balls that you've made along the season.
Well, we got some good videos of him catching some crazy catches, though.
Yeah, like 3 fucking years ago.
Here's the thing. I don't.
That was like 10 years ago.
He's got
both your arguments. He's not a bad player. He just wasn't the right fit for the Browns.
No, I agree.
He is a successful wide receiver. I think he's on the right team. He's going to do fantastic.
Where's he fit in?
They didn't adapt. Yeah. How does he fit? They didn't adapt plays that worked for him on this team.
Yep.
They didn't put him in a position to be successful, hate it or not. They didn't. And he needs to go somewhere else. And he might go on and do great things. The dude's still got talent. He's up there in age, has been playing for a while, but he is still talented. That doesn't take away from the fact that he wasn't for the Browns. He wasn't the right fit for that team, and he was toxic to their success. And getting rid of him was the right move.
But let me explain, though, why they did so well on Sunday, though.
Yes.
Because they used it as a scapegoat. It doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Right.
It's the fact is that the Browns looked at this and they went, look, we lost what a lot of people deem as our best receiver. We lost a superstar. We lost, this great guy who's supposed to be this playmaker for us. Let's go out there and fucking shove it down the world's throat right now. Let's show them that we have enough talent on this team without it. And they banked on that chemistry, which is good without Odell Beckham. We saw that last year on the playoff run. No offense. When they beat Pittsburgh last year, the chemistry was on fire. They looked solid. They could have beaten Kansas City. I don't know why they didn't beat Chad Henne of all people, but
the Steelers threw like 2-yard passes the whole game.
Fair enough. Yes. Here's the thing, though. The chemistry's there. They have that homegrown talent that I said, and now they can focus on it more. You don't have the distraction of a superstar out there in left field. You have very much the homegrown talent that you've built the space around. Focus more on it. Cherish that. I think the signing of Petonio and Wyatt Teller over the last 2 days has been remarkable for Baker's progression. That's the 1 and 2 option as far as his protection goes. And I feel like they're a team that I don't want to oversell them like Browns fans do, because anytime they get a win, they say Super Bowl all the way. And that's not me.
They're the biggest sports writers ever.
Exactly. But I feel like this might be a turning point for them where they look at Odell and they go, let's use this as motivation every step of the way. We go, we're better without him. And we're every argument that the fans are now making where they go, yeah, we never needed him in the first place. Let's make them right.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Let them ride it out.
So where does he go? Where does Odell go?
Buccaneers.
I hate this.
Baltimore. They got cap
space. You think
Baltimore?
I don't think he could go for the Bucs.
Okay, you know what? My picks are different. So like my betting, if I was betting money, Seattle. He's going to Seattle. He's talked about he wants to go to Seattle. Yeah. Russell Wilson's about to come back. Yeah. They're about to get Chris Carson back. They're going to make a push for that wild card spot. It's going to be tough to overseat the Rams, but they're going to try. My fear is that he goes to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I can see that.
So Green Bay or Baltimore, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
He wants.
If he goes to Baltimore.
He wants to go to a contender.
Yeah.
That he said that. Like he wants to go to somebody that's going to compete for the World Series, the Super Bowl.
But then some of his teams, though, his objective teams, did you hear about that? Like he said, the Saints. I'm like, Saints ain't no fucking contender. They're now on a 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be going to.
You think he's going to get picked up by a good team? You think someone's going to put out for him?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just curious, just because I know Jesse had mentioned that there was potential to trade him before the deadline, and no one wanted to take him. So
that's because of the money.
Yeah, because now they can get him for free, pretty much. There's no risk now. Now it's we're playing with club money.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Browns already paid us what 7.5 mil.
Yeah,
That
they
for
swallowed
the rest
it.
of the year.
Yep, they swallowed it.
That's his. So now wherever he goes, until he
They don't
re-signs,
have to pay him until his contract with the Browns was up. How
Yep.
long did he have left?
2 years.
No, I think. Well, he's. I
think it was this season and next season.
So a team can pick him up, and they don't have to pay him anything
Nope.
for 2 years.
Nope.
The Browns.
It's the Browns deal.
Wow.
They have
I
to
guess-
abide by that deal.
So what happens if multiple teams want him? I mean, could it go to a bidding war where they
It's
do
up to
pay
him.
him
It's up
money?
to him.
Yeah, I know. But could he be like, well, if you want me to come to your team, you've got to pay me X dollars on
You
top
can't
of
do
the
that.
Browns?
You can't do that. No, there can't, because that's an actual
Ah.
illegal way of what am I
acquiring
somebody? Yeah.
Interesting. So what's his? I mean, what's in it for him? Just to go wherever he wants.
Just look at it and go
basically?
like, look, I feel good about Seattle. I feel like they're a Super Bowl team. I want to go there.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
So I mean, he could literally go anywhere because there's no risk of cap space because they don't have to pay him
Exactly.
for 2 years.
Now, if a team picked him up off of waivers, they would be
They'd have to
required to
pay-
pay that.
They
They'd
have
have
to
to
take
pay
that
his-
contract
So
over.
that's why he cleared waivers because nobody wanted to pay him.
So
And now-
so I'm wondering how quickly he goes then. I mean, he could start on a team tomorrow.
I would
Sunday.
say I would say by Thanksgiving he's on a team.
Oh, you think that long?
Yep.
Because I would assume at this point, you guys have to educate because I really have no
It's
idea.
too
how
late for
works.
this week.
No,
Even if he
no.
joined a team tomorrow, he couldn't
I'm
play.
not saying play, but I mean, he could join a team tomorrow if he wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I guess within these negotiations, do they talk about what his contract with them is after the 2 years, or does that happen in 2 years? when his
Probably
contract with the
they'll
Browns
probably
is up?
talk about it.
How does that work?
Like,
Like, does he sign to them for just the rest of his Browns contract, or does he sign with them for longer?
they might have performance
You know how that
evaluations
works?
along the way where they go like, look, we've liked you recently. You caught 3 balls on Sunday for 73 yards. We like you. We'd love to keep you on this team long term. Just putting that in your head
Okay.
going forward.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So sometimes those evaluation meetings happen.
Okay.
You're not supposed to admit it in the press, but
Oh. Nice. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess obviously something went different, like you said, whether it was just we're going to prove you right to the fans. Like, yeah, he's gone. We're good to go type thing. And they wanted to make an effort for it that they didn't need him. It worked. They played great. If they continue to play how they did Sunday for the remainder of the second half, they're solid.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to finish one in our division.
think so.
If they continue to play like that and they go out and they dominate, I mean, they played
Sweet.
really good.
With the Browns, you got to take it 1 week at a time. Let's see how
Exactly.
they do.
Trust me, I'm all,
Let's do
this,
it.
this is all hypothetical. Trust me, I want them to finish fucking last, but they played fantastic.
And if Odell goes
So-
to Baltimore,
Yeah. Oh, if Odell
That-
goes, if he goes to
that
Baltimore,
division's done.
yeah, we're fucked.
Lamar will find a way to get his ass in there.
Yeah, well,
Lamar
we're
will throw
we're
it to him.
fucked.
they got
Um,
Le'Veon Bell. I mean, they're
yeah, the Ravens the Ravens are a contender every year,
And they're not even a healthy team.
Yeah.
They're playing with like second stringers, man.
So, I mean, here's the thing. They've been a contender. Look, the Browns lost them. They became the Browns, and that team has continued to play well pretty much since then.
Yeah.
What do you attribute? How do you get a team that's that consistent through all the changes that they've been through, and they continue to be successful every
Ownership.
year? But I mean, how does that not translate to, I mean, I just don't understand. I guess I just struggle with understanding how
so
you've got teams with so much talent, like the Browns, for example.
When you have Ozzie
and they
Newsome
shrug.
when you have Ozzie Newsome, former Brown wide receiver,
Yeah.
as a talent evaluator for the Ravens, that's a big get.
It's just wild. to me,
and that
man.
the consistency of head coach doesn't help
Well, yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said
For
that
the
about the
Browns.
Browns. They never give the whole one season and done thing is never going to work.
Chemistry.
You can't have a team learning new playbooks or new team dynamic every fucking season and expect them to be successful.
No
It's just
chemistry.
not possible. Hopefully they give Stefanski a chance. It's his season 2. They're not playing as good as last year, but they still need to give him the opportunity. I mean, you just can't. You got to give your coaches time to develop. And
I think if as long as the Browns have a winning season this year, Stefanski's the guy next year.
Oh, and I mean, they're 5-4 right now. 5-4.
Or 4.
Four and
Yeah,
four.
5 and 4.
4-4 or 5-4, something like
5 and
that.
4.
I mean,
5
I
and
just
4.
I mean,
Five
I
and
just
four.
I see people talking. Oh,
So you only-
Stefanski, most overrated coach. Like people are already talking shit about him over.
No, he's the best thing that happened to them.
I agree, but this is Browns fans even.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Like you guys are fucking so ignorant.
He's the best thing that happened to that team. Now, here's one thing I would look at: their offensive coordinator. I might think about getting rid of him because that guy has some questionable fucking plays down the stretch. Like they have to be one of the worst play calling teams on 3rd and long that I've ever seen.
Yeah, 5 and 4.
Well,
6 and 2 for
I'll tell you who
Baltimore.
the
5 and
Browns-
3 for
So
Pittsburgh.
4 more wins, 4 and 6 down the stretch, and they're a winning team.
Yeah,
I think so.
I'll say, I mean, the Browns they don't have the one thing on their team that they need, like us Steelers, and that's the Zebras.
There you go. See,
So-
I'd be riding it out and pissing people off. I wouldn't give a shit.
Look, here's my thing. If the Zebras get me to the Super Bowl,
Me too. I wish they'd play for the Dallas
I don't-
Cowboys.
look, I don't fucking care.
Pay them a little bit more next year.
They didn't cheat. Here's
Yeah.
the thing. There's no cheat scandal here. If there was bad calls by the refs, that's on them. The Steelers won. It is what it is. If the Steelers get caught cheating or something, it might change my view a little bit. But if they solely win and make it to the end because of supposed bad calls, I don't fucking care.
I'm a
Their
heel. I
job
wouldn't
isn't
care.
to, their
any-
job isn't to call the plays. So
Did
it is what
anybody
it
see
is.
the full start on the last play of the game? Well, yeah, the field goal
I
attempt.
did, yeah. Where they said
It didn't get.
yeah,
It was a
False
false
start.
start.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
lineman jumped back
yeah.
before the ball was hiked, and they didn't call it. So
Let's make
hey,
it a
went
70.
both ways.
Let's make it a 70-yard field goal.
It goes both ways, man. Look, there's bad plays on both sides of the field. Again, it was all Browns fans coming out that were up in cahoots about it. Of
course it
I
was.
mean, it is what it is, man.
When the Browns win, they only talk about the Steelers.
Right. I know. I don't understand, man.
I
just don't
sent a
understand.
message to Sam about the like it was in that first quarter. I'm like, can you tell your players to get on their side of the line?
Yeah.
4 times
Whoops.
they're lined up in the neutral zone. How do you not like look down at the ball and say, oh shit?
Bro, they
You
had
gotta back
how
up
many?
a
They
little
have
bit.
12. Was it 12 calls?
Yeah.
I mean, 12 is a lot. You're not telling me all those were on the refs. That's a lot of fucking calls, man. Like, get your team together.
They're just a poorly coached team.
Well, part of it was like the lack of the roughing the passer calls.
yeah.
yeah. I don't.
And
know.
I agree with some of those.
So, again, there was calls that were questionable. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, it's not on the Steelers to determine what the refs do.
Nope.
You know, that's not their job. Go out there and play football. There's calls I'm sure that they happen against them that they wish got called and didn't. And you go on and you continue to play. What else are you going to do? So, anywho, I think that's it. Oh, do you want to talk about the boys? Do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Fucking show up this week or fucking take your helmet off. You don't deserve the star.
Sorry, I was trying to stay positive on that
Yeah,
post. I was like, there's a lot of game left.
I
And you're
know.
like, yeah, shut up.
They're down
No, there's-
fucking 30-0 with like 10 seconds left. Dan's like, oh no,
You
man.
know, but here's the thing. Do you realize I didn't
No, it's
comment?
before halftime.
Because I'm realistic. When I give you shit, it's because it's on realistic expectations. I didn't say anything about the game Sunday because I knew where it was going, and I
fucking garbage.
wasn't gonna gas you up for nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Here's the thing.
Well, I think when I commented, they're up 14-0.
yeah.
Yeah, it was 14-0.
I always give Chris shit though because he's hard on them, and I'm like, there's still a lot left when it's within reason. That one out.
Then the next time
was I
wasn't-
hard on them on Sunday?
I wasn't saying anything.
Was I hard on them?
Did you notice I didn't say anything?
Yeah.
I didn't say
Hey,
anything.
the next time I looked, it was 30-0. I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
Yeah.
To the fucking Broncos, who don't even have a top 20 offense.
So here's the worst part. So for the game Monday, I was talking mega shit to a Browns fan, mega shit. And then that game went sideways real quick at the end. And I was like, God damn it, please do not make me choke on these words because this was like leading up to that very end where they ended up pulling off the lead. And I'm like, I've been talking mad smack
gonna kill you
on a
one day.
brand status. And I'm like, if we lose right now, I can never see this person in face to face ever again.
That's why I'm not
That's
that
why
guy.
I don't say.
Ever. But I was just over the top at this point. I was just so over the bullshit. I was just like, fuck it.
I
don't
hardly
care.
ever say anything until the game's over.
Me
because
too.
There's so much that can happen.
Yeah.
I
And
legitimately
I know how the Steelers are. They get a lead and
Yeah.
then
And they blow it.
they scale back. They play zone
especially
and-
this season, it seems.
and they play zone, and there's always somebody in that open area. Like you're not covering, jab them at the line,
Yeah.
play man to man like you've been playing in the first freaking quarter. Play it out all the way through. Stop playing safe.
For the first time since 2014, I had confidence in a game where the Cowboys went into the game and I was saying, I'm like, Denver, I mean, like, they don't have an offense to even compete with us. Like, they shouldn't even be on the same field. I'm like, sorry, like, we win this game by 20. Dak's coming back. We're going to win by 20. That was my mistake.
I just say
I apologize. That loss is on me.
Don't doubt Tomlin, man. We need 4 more wins out of the next 10.
I would sell my soul to have Tomlin coach my team
to get a winning season. I can't wait for us to get at least 8 wins just so I can fucking shove it down Jesse's throat.
It's not going to be that tough at this point.
No, I mean, 3 more in the next 10 games.
Yeah, 3 and 7 is very easy. Especially you got Detroit. That should be, I mean, it should be a game.
I'm still not even there.
You better fucking beat Detroit. I'm saying that right now.
Jesse hasn't
even
won
though
a bet to me
Detroit's
yet.
0-8. I'm not certain that the Steelers are going to win.
You're not a Steelers fan.
Detroit should not win a game this year. That is realistic.
You always say the Steelers are going to win every week, no matter what. And if we lose, we lose, but you never doubt them.
I'm going to be a realist.
No.
So who are the 3 games? Detroit and who else did you say?
Who are we going to win?
Like the next 3 you said.
Oh, who are the next 3? Yeah, because I think Cincy was going to be a toss-up.
I could see them losing a Cincy.
That's what I'm saying. It's
really
going to be a toss-up. I say we take Detroit.
I thought you said they won 3 in a row or whatever.
No, we won today. Monday was 4 in a row. We've won.
Oh, but I thought you said the next 3 games you were going to win.
No, I say we have 3 guaranteed wins over the next. I say there's at least 3 games we're going to win for sure.
Detroit's won for sure.
Yeah.
6.
We've got
7, 8, 9 more games.
We've got Lions, then Chargers, then Bengals, then Ravens, then Vikings, then Titans, then Chiefs, then Browns, then Ravens.
So
Vikings, you have a good shot.
So we're gonna take. So let's see.
The only
Steelers,
2
Lions.
losing. The only 2 losing, like with losing records right now. There's only 2 of those 9
Vikings
games.
and Lions.
Vikings and Lions. Everybody else has a 5-4 better record.
Okay, so let's look at this. So Steelers, Lions. What? Steelers win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Steelers beat the Lions.
Chargers, Steelers. Same.
Chargers win.
Okay. Steelers, Bengals.
Where's it at?
That first game is.
If we're on the top, it means it's home, right? If it's Steelers,
No, bottom is home.
Okay, so then it's at Bengals.
Bengals win that game.
Ravens, Steelers at Pittsburgh.
Ravens win that game.
Steelers, Vikings at Vikings.
Steelers win that game.
Titans, Steelers at Steelers.
That might be closer than you think. I'm gonna say the Titans are going downhill by that point.
Do you think we win that one?
Yes.
Okay, so that's our 3.
Squeak it out.
Steelers, Chiefs at Chiefs.
Chiefs win that one.
Brown, Steelers at Steelers.
Steelers win.
I called a split before the year, so I'm going Browns on this
I'm
one.
saying Steelers win that. Steelers, Ravens at Ravens.
Monday night game too. It's
Ravens.
in Pittsburgh.
But Monday night in Pittsburgh, Ben doesn't lose. So if we win that, that's 4. If we win those, that's 4.
Enough, regardless.
Yeah.
That's 9 wins.
Yep.
Yeah. I called him 7.
I called him 9. I need 9. I want 9. I need 8.
Yeah.
I need 8 for the bet.
I think I said 10, right?
You said 10.
Yeah, you were the most.
10, I don't think we're getting. Here's the thing.
I don't know.
I said 9 because I don't doubt Tomlin getting a winning season. So I said 9 is the absolute minimum he can get to have a winning season. I think we get at least 9.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers might pull out that Chargers game.
I think we could too. I think it's possible. Here's the thing. Any game is possible at this point, but there's a couple that I think for sure we win.
Right. Is he in a
2 year
second season?
Yeah.
Bro, if we sweep the Browns this season, I'll love that. But I mean, Monday night at home, bro,
I mean, you beat him on the road already. That's the hard part.
Ben's record in Monday Night Football is just really fucking good.
Yeah.
And at home, I don't think we beat them last year at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
We lost
at 11-0.
away. We lost away, and then we lost in the playoffs, but we beat them at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you lost them on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost 2 in a row. Two in a row.
Playoffs
was
and then
last game.
Yeah.
The season in the playoffs.
We'll see. It's gonna be a tough end of season. I'll be curious to see where
That's a tough schedule.
Yeah, down the stretch it is.
The Browns have a tough schedule too, though. I looked at theirs, and theirs isn't much easier. So it's gonna be a really tough second half of football. We'll see what happens. Anything else for the good of the show, sports? Anything else you guys want to lead us with? Or I think that's it for this week.
Nope, just one episode back of Jesse.
Ooh, Jesse. Hopefully we'll see you next week, or if not, the week after. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. That is Made to Motivate Podcast. Make sure you tune into the show every week. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you know when the new videos launch. And check out our pages individually if you can. We appreciate the support. At Jesse Yonk SI on Twitter. Chris, the Film Freak Kessinger. Check out the Film Freak Review page on Facebook. And I am Ryan Weiss. You can check out rockeverywhereinc.etsy.com to follow my art and apparel page. We appreciate the support. And, of course, at Made to Motivate Podcast on all social media sites. Thanks again, and we'll check you next week.